Hey guys. Hope everyone's having an awesome week. Etika, long time no see. Laurel, Kahisha. Kahisha, did I see you got a property under contract today? Girl, good job. That's exciting. I am so far back. Today has been so like back to back to back. I just looked at my messenger and I was like, oh my God, there's so many messages. I'm behind. But I was like, I think I saw Kahisha got a deal. Yes, Misty, can't wait to get an update from you. Let's start off with Misty. Talk to me. Where are things at?
Okay, if I can figure out how to unmute here.
Right.
All right, so, okay, so I have the money to title. I have the contractor ready to go to the house tomorrow at 2. I have estimates for the floor and the bathtub for Saturday. We are still working on financing.
Okay.
I have gotten percentages and points and all that stuff. I'm still like really fuzzy as to what all of that means and how, you know, and how to actually make it happen. That's, yeah, I don't understand.
Okay, I'm going to back you up a little bit. I'm going to ask some questions so that I have a bigger base.
Okay.
And then we will talk through all those things. Okay. And remember, that's why you're here.
Yes.
That's why you're here. Okay.
I've been looking forward to this all day long.
Awesome. Okay, so for one, it's a single family home, but you're going to rent it as like 3 rooms?
3, yes.
Okay. Is it vacant right now?
Yes.
Okay, how many bathrooms does it have?
2.
Okay, so it's a 3-bedroom, 2-bath. Is it in an area where renting by the room is a thing?
No.
Oh, no?
No, okay. not really, No, okay. This is a single family home that would go to a family. It's perfect for that. It's on a cul-de-sac. It's by 2 good schools, but it just so happens that I found these renters that want to rent all 3 rooms out because they're just gonna go in all together.
Okay, so one thing that you have to do immediately is you need to detach that. Because what if those renters find someplace else to live?
What if there's one person that is the main person, the sole like leasee, and she knows that she's responsible for the rent completely. It's not 3 different people. She's responsible for it completely.
Okay. So what? Okay.
Does that make a difference?
What you're the mistake that you're making right now that I want to keep you from making is you're buying a house with a renter in mind. And that should never be it's okay that that renter exists, but you have to detach from that situation to look at what if that person gets run over by a bus? Okay, not cool, but okay, cool. So now what would the property do if that person didn't exist, and analyze it that way? That's my main thing. Is you would rent it as a single family home to a single family.
Yes, average days on market are 20 or less.
Average days on market for what?
For that area, for within that half mile, average days on market for a house like that is 20 days or less.
For sale, right?
Correct.
But you're not selling it, right?
Yes.
Okay, so please understand, I'm going to ask you questions like that to help you start to connect the dots, because you in particular have a lot of real estate background and knowledge, and it's really hard when you have so much knowledge and you haven't been able to put it to play because you don't exactly know where everything fits or what's relevant. And so that's part of going to be my job with you, Misty, is to guide you through that, because it is more challenging because you have all this stuff. And so days on market, that's great, except it's not relevant in this situation, because for rental, it doesn't apply to anything. Okay, so that's one piece that can separate. Tell me what the numbers are, and then let's start there. What are you buying it for?
$150.
$150, okay. And how much renovation do you think it needs?
I think that it needs about 10. I'm padding it with 20 just in case something, off the wall happens.
Okay, and it's vacant right now, right?
Yes, it's been vacant for
sorry, it just cut out when you said it's been vacant for how long?
2 months.
Okay, that's not too bad. Okay, and you said the contractor's going out tomorrow?
The home inspector will go out tomorrow.
Okay,
yeah.
But the contractor hasn't been there yet?
The contractor is going, the quickest that he could get there would be Saturday.
Okay, and what about the other contractors?
They will be there, let's see, they will be there on the 7th and the 9th. Okay. So the soonest one is Saturday, and then Monday and Wednesday.
Okay. Okay, it is what it is. But normally, can you guys see Jennifer back there? She's crutching around.
I just wanted to say congratulations to Kahisha.
She's like,
I am so proud of you.
Okay, normally, the way that you would conduct due diligence that will save you the most amount of money is if you have the contractors out there first. And here's why. The contractors you don't pay the contractors to come out and give you a bid to fix up the house, right? So there's no cost. So sometimes, and maybe this is not a big fix, or maybe it's just cosmetic, but sometimes when you send, sometimes you send the contractors out, you find out, oh man, there's $35,000 worth of work. I didn't know that. These numbers don't work at that. And so you would go back to the seller and try to renegotiate. And if they say no, you wouldn't get an inspection, because now you got to pay for the inspection. So the only thing about this, and it's okay. I just want you to be aware, because every piece of this, I want to show you the learnings of it, whether you're doing it in the way that I would normally have you do it, or whether you're doing it the opposite way. I still want to talk you through so that you pick up everything you can out of this. Okay.
Yeah.
So right now, let's say you send the home inspector out there tomorrow, and he goes through and you find out, oh man, I didn't know there was going to be a $25,000 foundation repair on, I don't think foundations are that expensive in Texas, but whatever. Let's just say there was some huge thing that you didn't know about because they didn't disclose it, wasn't anywhere. And now you're like, well, crap, these numbers don't work, and the seller's not willing to reduce the price. Now you're out, whatever, $400 or however much the home inspector's charging, when you maybe could have got that information for free. So the way I would have you normally do it is get the contractors out there first, because any due diligence you could do that doesn't have a cost associated with it.
Right.
Because if you have to back out, then it's okay, you lost your option fee, but you don't lose $400. So it's not the end of the world. I just want you to know that that would be the better way to do it for you financially, because if you find out the deal doesn't work, you found out for free.
Yeah.
So it's okay though, Misty, just know, and it is what it is.
I thought that I had done everything free first. Damn it.
Well, but the contractors you haven't done yet. It sounds like you did the well, what things did you do that was free? What are the different due diligence steps that you've done so far? Walk me through it.
So I've done all of the comps. I have called all of the people that, oh my gosh, my mind's completely going blank right now.
It's okay.
I've got, I had the contractors going out there. My mind's going blank.
That's okay. Then I'll ask you the question. That's okay. I'll ask you the questions, and I'll help to create the flow. Okay, so you already checked comps, right? Yes. What do you think the ARV will be?
220.
Okay, gotcha. Okay, so that's a nice spread. If you're buying it for 150, you're putting 10 to 20 into it, right? That's a pretty good spread. What would it rent for to a family if you were just going to rent it out?
$1,600. $1,750 is what I could get in that area if I rented it out to. Yeah.
Market rent. Okay. And how did you get that information?
Through the realtor. I called some different people in the area, and like they've got signs for this house is for rent and everything. So I called them and asked them, like, in that around that neighborhood, what the rent would be and all that stuff. So I called, and $1,750 is what they said that they were getting.
Okay, were you calling property managers?
Yeah.
Okay, gotcha. Okay, good. So so you've verified the ARV.
Right.
Through comps. And were you pretty tight on the comps? Like, were they really pretty close? Same size, your build and all that?
The ones around me that were selling for about 212, they're not updated.
Okay.
And but the ones that are updated, one of them sold for 275. So I didn't go that high.
Okay.
So I, kind of went around, because I'm not gonna do granite countertops and
Right.
and all of that jazz.
Okay.
So
and was when you're comparing it to the ones that were sold for 212 that weren't updated, were they similar in size?
yes.
Same
Yes.
like tract, or same in neighborhood?
Yeah, the same neighborhood.
Okay.
Within,
Good.
yeah, the same neighborhood, basically the same size, the same years, within about 5 or 10 years. So.
Okay, good. Here's a little thing that I want you to do with the hard money lender. Well, they're going to send out for an appraisal. Have they already asked you what you think the value of the property is, or going to be? Okay, gotcha.
Yes.
I was like, if they haven't, I would always err on the side of like go high.
Okay.
Because appraisals are such a squishy area, such a subjective area, and sometimes you can end up getting more of a loan, so you're putting less money out of pocket. But it doesn't matter. That's neither here nor there. Okay. So you verified your ARV.
Yes.
You verified your market rent, right? And you ran your numbers. You ran your numbers through to make sure that market rent with that purchase price that works. Like, you ran it through the Burr calculator?
I did.
Okay.
And yeah, I did. And everything works. Everything looks like I'm going to be in the positive. I just still don't understand really how to make, I don't know. I don't really understand that completely yet. Like, how to get money out of it, because right now my points are so high that I did kind of a verbal joint venture with another member on here, and he had the credit score that I didn't have and got a lot better numbers, but it doesn't make any sense to me how we're going to make money out of it.
Okay. So when you ran the numbers through the Burr calculator, what did it say as far as when you refinanced it that your cash flow would be?
I don't remember.
Okay, because it's not, if you're not going to make money on a deal, that it wouldn't really be a compelling reason to do the deal.
Yeah. Well,
So,
I remember that it said that we were going to make money on it, but I don't remember exactly how much.
Bill says 331 cash flow.
Oh, okay. Thank you.
Gotcha. Okay. What kind of return on investment was that, as far as the capital? Or do you either remember how much cash would be left in the property after the refinance?
See, that's the part that I don't understand. So that's what I need help on.
Okay, go ahead and share. You have it on your computer, your Burr calculator?
No, he sent it to me because he's the one that could get the better interest rate. So let me see if I can find the message. I don't have it on my computer.
Okay. Well, if you want to, while we're on the phone,
okay.
If you want to find it, and then later you can pull it up and we'll walk through it. So I'll show you how to read it. Okay.
All right.
Okay. So you verified ARV.
Yeah.
You verified the rent. What are the points and interest from the hard money lender?
13 for me, it was 13% and 3 points.
Okay.
And but then I don't really understand even. I don't know. I'm frustrated that I don't understand what this means.
Okay. Do you know what a point is?
I know that it's a percentage of what you need to pay, right?
No. So 1 point is equal to 1% of the loan amount. So
the loan amount.
If you're borrowing, let's say $150,000, 1 point would be $1,500. So 3 points would be $4,500.
500. Mm-hmm.
It's a one-time fee that you pay up front at the closing.
Okay.
So it's also called origination.
Oh, okay. So that's the same thing.
Yeah. So,
okay.
And lenders sometimes will talk very quickly and they're throwing different terms around as if you understand them, and you don't exactly know like how it all fits together. So 3 points is the same as someone saying it's 3% origination.
Okay.
That is not horrible. You can definitely get lower rates when you call around, but 3 points isn't horrible. When I was new, I was on average paying 5 points and 16% interest, because that's what hard money lenders could charge back then. So it's actually a lot cheaper now than it was 17 years ago. So 3 points is 3% of the loan. The interest rate, do you understand the interest part of it? Or do you want me to explain that a little bit more?
I understand it. I don't know. I feel stupid. I feel like I should know what this is.
Well, if you knew what all this was, you wouldn't be here.
Right.
Right?
Very true. Yeah.
That's the reason everybody's here, is because everybody's learning. And so you don't need to feel stupid or even put that weight on your back. You're here to learn. Let's make it a little bit simpler. Let's say that it was 12% interest, for example. Okay, just because it's easy. With the interest rate, if it's 12% interest, it ends up being, it's the same as like 1% per month. So again, if you were borrowing $150,000, your monthly payment would be 1% of that, $1,500. With hard money lenders, it's always interest only.
Okay.
Okay, so it's not like a conventional mortgage where you're paying principal, interest, taxes, and insurance. You only pay interest. So it's a simple interest, it's annualized, and you just make that payment once a month. Okay. Yeah, that's, Dina's like, it's okay, we're all struggling to it. Just know everybody's starting from a different place, and most people do not understand this stuff when they're new, because it's not part of our normal, regular homeowner lives. Right. It's just not. It's really different. It's a very steep learning curve. So give yourself some grace. I know you are an extremely high performer in your career, and so your expectations might be a little bit out of line with reality when you're learning something new. So give yourself some grace. Okay? It took me a long time to learn this stuff.
Right.
So you're right. Yeah, you're doing great. So the point, I think part of it too is you're getting to a state of overwhelm, and then it's like you can't even take the information in because you can't think because you're like in the red as far as I don't understand it.
Yeah.
I think that's also something that's going on, and just like breathe. We'll go through the calculator. Do you have, when does the inspection period end?
So the option period ends
or option period, yeah.
The 7th.
The 7th, okay. I wonder if you could call the home inspector and reschedule him for the 6th, because you would have had 2 contractors out by then, right?
Yes.
Okay. I would like you to do that, Misty.
Okay.
Because right now you're about to spend, how much is the home inspection?
$450.
Okay, so right now you're about to spend $450, and in your mind you don't even know if this is a good deal, and you feel really overwhelmed by it, right? So I don't want you putting $450 out yet when there is more that can still be done that doesn't cost anything.
Okay.
Which is one, going to be us going through the calculator when you pull it up, and you getting the contractor out there. So I almost want you, when we're done talking, I want you to just put this on hold, call the home inspector and say, I need to reschedule for the 6th.
Okay.
And just make sure, and just explain to him, say, you don't need to get into detail. Just say, I need to reschedule. Can you do it on the 6th? So that he can at least get back to you and talk through what he saw. But if the contractors already saw something that's going to really throw this out, you won't have wasted the $450.
Okay, so can I ask a question? Does it matter that the realtor's husband is a contractor, and he walked through the property with me. Does that matter?
It's not really. That it doesn't matter. It's not that it doesn't matter. There's an inherent conflict of interest.
Yeah. Okay.
Because she will get a commission. That's the same reason you can't take a recommendation for a home inspector from the realtor. Inherent conflict of interest. Even if they're not trying, there's an inherent conflict of interest because that home inspector's bread and butter comes from that realtor. So if they screw up the deal, now that realtor's going to stop referring a business and now they can't provide for their family. Like, you never want to look for your home inspector from the realtor. You want to go, and there's a whole thing on this in the building your team on the home inspector. Like, you want to go to the ASHI, American Society for Home Inspectors website.
Yeah.
Okay, good. And find your own, because there's a conflict of interest. It's the same thing with the contractor. Okay. So if the husband was like, yeah, it's going to cost $10,000, and he's like just kind of overlooking some other big things because he wants his wife to get the commission, who's the one that gets in trouble? It's you. That's also the reason I say you always gotta have 3 contractors out there. What if one person misses something?
Yeah.
So that's the first thing I want you to do, Misty, is just put this on hold. Like, go call your home inspector, try to give him some notice, and just say, hey, I'm sorry something came up. Can we reschedule it for the 6th? And then also, go ahead and you can come back on, but then also look through your email and look for the BRRRR calculator. Then you can pull it up on the screen and we can go through it together, and everybody can benefit from it.
Oh, okay. So I don't know how to pull it up on the screen, but okay.
Okay. Well, do you know how to share your screen?
Well, he sent it to me with Messenger, and so I don't know how to do that.
You have to do. Are you on your computer for Zoom right now?
Yes.
Okay. So you have to pull up Messenger on your computer.
Okay.
All right, and I'll walk you through this. Let's save this part for the Q&A.
Okay.
And then we'll go through it. But this is something probably everybody is going to benefit from seeing, Misty. Trust me, that the BRRRR strategy it's not easy. The calculation of it is not easy. So you're not the only one. So it's really great for everybody. Okay, so I'm going to put Misty BRRRR calculator. But go ahead and call that home inspector and get that rescheduled so that you're not out of pocket. And then see if you can get other contractors there earlier. That would be better for you.
You want me to do that right now?
I do want you to do that right now. And I'm going to tell you something. Here's my gut. My gut is that there's more wrong with it than $10,000. The reason, if it's really worth $220 ARV, you wouldn't be picking it up for $150. It is unusual for you to get it that low of a price if all it needs is a little bit of cosmetics. That's the only thing that I'm like, I'd really like to get some contractors out there to make sure, because those numbers are pretty good. Not too good to be true, but a little bit. And I just want you to get the information that you can get for free, because I'm like, my gut is like, if the numbers are really that good, there's probably something that you don't know about yet. And let's unearth that first before you go spend money.
Okay.
Does that make sense?
Right. It does.
Okay. And just breathe through this process. We are here to walk you through and help you with it. And you're going to be learning as you go, and it's okay. Everybody is.
Okay.
All right. Okay. So I'm going to go ahead and put you on mute. Go ahead and call your home inspector, and then we'll get back to the BRRRR calculator towards the end of the call.
Okay.
Okay.
All right.
Good job, Misty. All right. Okay. So Misty's first deal. It's like super exciting. It can be a little stressful. So what I want everyone to do is go ahead and open up your chat, which I will too. And what I want to know about is, what are your wins for this past week? What are your wins for the week? What did you do in your business that pushed your business one step further, or pushed yourself one step further? And just what did you do? If you're like, it's not a win, but Patel always say that, it's not a win. Okay, fine, then tell me what you did. Meredith submitted 2 offers. Great job. Woohoo! Love it. Good job. And Christelle, I saw you earlier when you're having issues understanding the BRRRR. Okay, well that's why we have these calls. We'll demystify it. Patel, closing next week. Oh my gosh! Buttoning things up. But still, how are you feeling?
Oh my God, I'm so nervous and excited.
Yeah.
But I'm also moving, so it's like at times 100, you know. But I do have a question, actually.
Go for it. And I know you have a lot going on, so if you just need to ask a question, then jump off. It's okay. I get it.
No,
Moving cross country, no big deal.
I hear what everyone says because I learn a lot from it.
Yeah.
But here's my question. So I told you about the contractor that he never came back with an answer. So we contacted some other people that we were referred to, one other person that was a really good referral. And he came back the highest amount out of anyone with $350 for the renovation. So then, and he came back today with that. So then we went back to the other guy because he just finished my dad's place and it looks really good. Okay. They sent me a video yesterday of it and I was like, he did a great job. And when I called the guy that he gave as a reference, he said he's not good about like remembering money stuff. So you really have to keep on him with that. But he's really good at renovations. He always comes on time. He gets the work done. But like with the money thing, with money, you have to be on top of him about it.
Okay.
So we called him up and his secretary answered. And she's basically like, you know, we don't know until we go there and take measurements. But he's already been there with me. He saw every unit. He has the blueprints. Because I asked him, do you want to take measurements? He said, no, I have the blueprints. And, but he came at the lowest. So, and we've already told him, like, we want, not only, we want 200,000. To be the max. And he's like, I'll help work with you. Like maybe you don't need hurricane windows. Maybe you need better windows and then just shutters. And like, I'll help work with you to make that happen. But now, like I said, I've been chasing him for quotes. He hadn't called me back, but he is the lowest price. And I don't know what to do, if I should go for him or if I should go for just one of the other guys that gave an okay price.
Well, so knowing what you know of him, which he does good work, the money thing, it's like he likes working. He doesn't like dealing with the money. You know that by going with him, who is the lowest price one, there's going to be extra work involved. So the real question is, are you willing to do that extra work and deal with the probably frustration and annoyance of dealing with him, chasing him down, getting him to do it in order to get the discount? Is the discount that by working with him, is it enough? Does it compensate you for the annoyance factor that you're going to be dealing with?
Yeah.
Then you do it, and you just, at least you go in with your eyes wide open. Like you're not going in being like, oh, it's going to be so easy. You're going in going, I already know. And then you establish check-ins, whether it's twice a week or once a week or whatever on the finances, and you just know you're going to have to manage him. But if the price difference is significant enough to make it worth it, then you're making that decision. But at least you know what you're dealing with and you can try to be proactive about it. That's my take. It's just how much of a difference is it if it's worth it to deal with him. And
it's $70,000. Okay, I mean,
well,
that's a big enough difference for me to be annoyed.
Okay.
You know?
Yeah, then you know that, and then your whole thing going in is you know you're going to be managing him, and then just go in with that expectation.
Do I write the contract from the contracts we have in Kajabi
Sure.
and make it the 180 that he had originally quoted me? Because then when he broke it down, it was like 250, and I emailed him, and he never emailed me back. So can I just write 180?
You can do whatever you want. It's just whether he's going to sign it. The thing is, I would have a conversation with him rather than just emailing back and forth. I would have a conversation like, hey, you said 180. You sent me the detail. It was way different. Now I'm saying max 200, and you'll say you're going to work with me. It's leaving me a little up in the air about the contract. So I would, Batel, then maybe go in at 180 and put 180,000 for all the work that the quote he gave you, knowing it's probably more than that, and say, and we're also going to have a buffer or a contingency of 20,000 for a maximum of 200,000. But you're going to just
have to do that in the contract.
You're just going to have to write it in.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, you can. It's in the scope of work. Actually, it's, you don't have to add the contract in the scope of work. So the contract amount would be 200,000, or you can make it for 180 and just know you're going to be dealing with paying him more than what's in the contract. It sounds like he's just going to sign it. It doesn't sound like he's really paying much attention.
I know, but that's the same thing I said with Adrian. Like, oh, maybe he's not good. That's what I think about contractors. Like, maybe they're just not good with paperwork, but they're good with actually doing the job,
Yeah. Well, have you seen evidence that this guy is good at his job?
Yes, I have. Yes.
That's what you started the whole conversation with. So that's the only reason I'm not like, oh, this is a red flag. This sounds like Adrian. Is only because you've already seen the end product from someone you know too. So, but he's gonna be headaches. But every contractor, not every contractor, but a lot of contractors you work with are going to be headaches no matter what. So if you already know that going in, at least you're going in with proper expectations, and you could just manage him more proactively. You're going to have to chase him. It's going to frustrate you. But if it's worth it to save 70,000, then at least you're acknowledging that that's what your frustration is worth for X number of months.
And you still don't think I should just get different people to do jobs and like probably save a lot of money doing that?
It's up to you, but in general, we don't suggest people be their own GC. That being said, if you're like, you know what, it's the only project I'm going to be doing, because you're wrapped a lot of your other business up.
I did,
you can't do that. It's just being a GC isn't fun. But if it's worth it to you to do that, it's okay. It's just you're just operating as a GC. We don't suggest it, but I'm not going to say that. I think that between you and Adam, you're probably qualified enough to do it.
Okay.
But it's a lot of coordination that you wouldn't have to do otherwise. So you just have to know that. But if it's worth it to you, then that's fine.
Okay.
Yeah, the project might take longer, but you might end up saving money. And if you're okay with that, as long as you are recognizing the risks going in, not the risks, you're recognizing the reality of what you're going to be doing going in, and you're okay with it, I don't see a problem with that. And here's the difference for everybody who's on here. I'm not making that suggestion in general because I'm teaching you guys how to do all this remotely. Battelle is actually physically moving across the country to Florida, but she's moving, her family she has family there and everything else. Her motel that she's buying is in the town that she's moving to, or it's very close to where she's moving. That's the only otherwise we would not be having this conversation. I never suggest you guys are doing anything like this. Battelle's she's experienced in real estate to the tune of 10 years. So my conversations with her are pretty different than with most of you. But if you haven't been hearing all this history, you wouldn't necessarily know that. So I don't want you to take that as general advice. It's definitely not. But Battelle and Adam are going to be there in Florida. This is their full-time project, this motel that they're buying. So it's a little different. I think you'd be okay to do that, Battelle, if you guys want to do it, and to give you experience doing it, and then you'll either know I want to do that in the future, or I'm not doing that again.
Okay.
You have a pretty high risk tolerance as investors go, so I think you'll be okay.
Okay.
And Adrian really put you through the ringer, so I feel like you're prepared for nearly anything at this point.
Okay, that's good. Thank you. That calms my nerves.
That's silver lining for you.
All right, thank you.
All right, Battelle. That's awesome. Okay, so Dina found 2 possible deals with new realtor, but waiting for the information on hotels in tourist area to do numbers. Have a question on this too. Okay, so I'm going to write this down. So Dina, question. We'll do that at the end. Question. I'll just say question about deal. Okay, Kahisha. Analyze more deals. Submitted 2 deals. Got 1 accepted. Good job, Kahisha. All right, I'm going to go through all these, and then Kahisha, I want to hear more about that. Accepted. Natasha, contractor bids came in. Continuing due diligence. Analyzed 2 other deals. Excellent. Good job, Natasha. Bill. Ooh. Jimmy closed on her largest deal that she's been working on for 2 years. 26,000 commission. Right on. She worked her butt off on this deal, which will now lead into starting to get our line of credit and become buyers. Great, great, great. That's super exciting. Right on, Val. Christelle is able to reach out to realtors, contractors, and property managers now listening to the information. I think I need to have 3 contractors for each area for due diligence on my list. Okay, wait. I was able to reach out to property managers. So, Christelle, it's not that you need to have 3 contractors for each area for due diligence. It's on whatever market, one market you're focusing on. Build the team there, wherever you think you're making the most offers. I wouldn't go line up teams in a whole bunch of markets. Like pick one market, like get everything going there, get lead flow going there. And when that's operating, then open one more market, line up contractors. Then I wouldn't spend a bunch of time lining up contractors in a bunch of markets because you don't know where your deal's going to come from. So that's one small adjustment there. Cami and Leroy wins, analyzing deals to make offers on, still looking and reaching out to new realtors in different markets. All right, good job. Okay. All right, Dina, what was your question about the deal? Let's get into
that one. It's mostly, well, I wait for the information.
I think we have an internet issue because I'm not able to hear you.
At the, and I'm not sure. I'm sorry.
Your internet is cutting out. We're not really catching anything you're saying. I can hear you typing, but okay, I'll let you type. And then Keisha, why don't you tell me about your offer you got accepted, and then Dina will work on getting your question answered. Which calculator do you use? Oh, okay. Hold on, let me go back and read it. 2 possible deal. Well, is the deal, is it a straight purchase or is it the BRRRR? You're doing the BRRRR. It's straight purchase. That if that's the case, then you would use the straight purchase calculator. For me, it's wholesale, but for another, it's turnkey. Yeah, straight purchase calculator. The main thing for it being wholesale is just you would increase. You would offer whatever you're going to offer on the property, but when you're analyzing it for what does it do for cash flow for them, you increase the purchase price by whatever your wholesale fee would be. And that way you could say to them, this is what the deal looks like for you. And that's based on your purchase price and your assignment fee. It's funny, I could just hear you. I could hear you typing. So how do I figure out cash flow for hotel rooms? Hotel rooms isn't really, not a rental monthly. That isn't really an area that we teach hotels, since I don't have the experience. So when I use their financials, I'm wondering if you can call in if I have, I don't know how to do that. Okay, so it's a performing hotel. Yes, okay. In that case, yeah, you would just use their, and they're retiring, okay. It's kind of like a hotel situation. Yeah, you would use their financials. You have a buyer already for that? Maybe, okay. Yeah, you would put it under contract. You'd run the numbers with an assignment fee on top of it to see how it would work for your end buyer. And then you would go into due diligence. The due diligence would be, how many rooms is it? How many doors is it? 16. It's a different kind of analysis that is beyond the scope of the course set, the A to Z course. You have to be taking into account cap rate, debt service coverage ratio. Well, actually all that is in there too. You could, if it's just straight purchase, yeah, you know what, you could use the calculator for straight purchase. It would still work. The thing that's really different, the biggest thing you'd have to probably take into account that's going to be different is the vacancy factor. Because it's not like 5% or 10%. So you'd almost have to find out from the sellers how many room nights exist in a year. Well, that would be whatever, 16 rooms times 365. That's how many room nights. How many nights did they rent it out? I would ask over the last 3 years, because the other thing you are dealing with right now is COVID. COVID happened this year, so that probably went way down for them. So I'd ask them like how many nights did they rent it out over the past 3 years, each year, and then calculate that compared to whatever 16 times 365 is, and come up with a vacancy factor. And then you would take the gross rent, which would be room times 365 times 16, and then apply that vacancy factor. That'll at least get you close. The reality is most hotels, their rates change, they're seasonal. So this might be a more complicated calculation where you have to get a spreadsheet out and do, room 1 through 16, January, February, March, April, May, June. What are the rents during that time, and do kind of a big extrapolation of that.
Okay.
It's not going to be it's not a simple deal. It's a multifamily. I mean, it's like an apartment, but a hotel. It's even more complex. But you can use it to get an idea at least. Are the people that you're thinking of wholesaling it to, are they experienced operators of a hotel? Okay. That might be a tricky sale, because unless you can give them really compelling information and you have enough knowledge to do that. It's Steve who wants to hear about it. Got it. Well, I mean, if you have it, you have another local pitch. Okay, if you have enough information on it, then just run with it, see what information you can get. But it's going to be more complicated than just running like a duplex or a single family home through that straight purchase calculator. Seems like you're still typing, but I haven't seen you say anything, so. I'm just like guessing here. I'm wondering if I should just skip it. I think, Dina, it would be a really good learning experience, so I don't think you should skip it. It's just that the tools, the program that you in is just, I don't know that they line up very well. But if the person that you're already talking about wholesaling it to, he has one-on-one coaching. He's in our apartment platinum program. So if he's the one who's interested, it's almost like you can talk to him and just say like, okay, well, what kind of information can I give you? That's a little bit unusual of a situation. Normally you do all the due diligence and you have a package that you're like, here you go. That wouldn't be the case here. But he does have the coaching to meet with Kimberly and take a look at what you send. But just really think through what is the gross potential income, but what's realistic based on how many rooms they have rented out. Plus, we're still in COVID. We're still dealing with, unless they're back to full occupancy. If they are, then cool. But if not, it's going to be a bit of guesswork. Money making cash flow in the area. Okay. Well, collect the information. I don't know that you should just skip it, because you're going to probably learn a lot from doing it. And hey, if you get into making some money on it, cool. And you're going to have learned a lot along the way. What I normally say, focus on it, not really, but I think there's a lot of benefit that can come out of it. And the person that you're talking about wholesaling it to has all the tools to analyze, at that level. So he could run it through the more complex, calculators and get coached on it. They're all still running Altura series right now in Idaho. Okay. Yeah. So you're going to build out your own spreadsheets and then take the high level numbers and plug them into the straight purchase calculator. It'll at least give you an idea.
Okay.
All right. Good job. That's exciting. Okay, Kahisha, let's hear about it.
Hi. What all do you want to know from start to me?
Well, okay, so tell us about the property. Where is it? What kind of property is it?
It's a single family in New Jersey.
Okay.
It's a 4-3,
Okay.
1690 square feet. It has a basement. Asking is 110. And my offer was 97.9. My original was 76,550.
Okay. And then there's negotiating back and forth?
Yes. So I submitted yesterday, and then they came back today with the offer of 100. And then so I came back at 97.5. I'm sorry, 97.9. And then they accepted it today.
Okay.
So
what's the ARV?
205.
Okay. And how much rehab do you think it needs?
Well, it's already fully gutted. The studs, so it's new studs already.
Okay.
So about 35 to 40.
And what is the exit strategy of that property?
So this one will be a fix and flip.
Okay. That you would do yourself, or that you would wholesale to someone else?
No, wholesale.
Also,
I'm not doing fix and flips anymore right now.
Just checking.
Been there, done that.
Okay. Okay. And so you just found out today that it's accepted?
Yes.
Okay.
I actually just redid or re-signed the other contract because I asked for 14-day inspection. And then for the earnest money to be given after the inspection.
Oh.
And then in New Jersey, they do like a COVID addendum.
Okay.
So the seller just came back that he wanted the EMD on day 5, and then he wanted to do away with the COVID addendum. So I said I'll do away with the COVID addendum because it gives me an extra 30 days.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
After, so I'm like, whatever. And then I'll do the EMD on the 10-day, the 10th day versus the 14th.
And he accepted it?
So he accepted that. So I just signed the new contract right when Misty was talking.
Nice. Okay, so you have a 14-day inspection. Your EMD is not due for 10 days?
For 10 days. Mm-hmm.
Okay. I've never tried to negotiate that before. That was okay. Well, especially since you're wholesaling it, that benefits you because, to not have to go out of pocket. Okay. So
Exactly.
what's your next step? Walk me through what are your next steps?
So I've already reached out to a couple buyers from when last week I sent out my emails last week. And I was talking to Damon actually last Friday about it also. And so I already sent out to them. So I have 2 already in the pipeline waiting for me to get the contract signed. So I just have to let them know that I signed it and then send them over the packet.
Okay. What kind of information is in the packet?
So I have where it is. It's on a corner. So like the house next to it needs some work. So I'm actually looking at that one too to see if it's, but that's another story. So I do have of course I have the photos. I have the area. I'm familiar with the area because I lived like not far from there. So I have the school district, the ARV, the rehabs. I have 2 contractors already, 2 inspectors, and then a property manager just in case they want to do a buy and hold instead of a fix and flip.
Okay. You have 2 GCs. Have they already gone out to the property?
No.
Okay.
No, I just have the names, the information, the contact information for them because like I said, I just got it signed, like literally. Okay. And I haven't even gotten the seller's signature yet. So his signature on the contract yet. I just submitted mine.
Got it. Okay. Okay. So the 35 to 40,000 of rehab, what is that based on?
That's based on me talking to Damien to find out because the structures and everything is already there. We calculate the sheetrock, the bed, the bathrooms, being done, not anything granite or anything like that. So builder's grade.
Gotcha. Okay.
And so that's the numbers that we came up with.
Okay. Are your buyers local to the area?
One is, one isn't.
Okay.
But one buys remotely for the past, I think, 17 years. And then the other one has been for years as well, but he's local.
Okay. Are either of the buyers expecting you to have quotes that you're handing to them?
No.
Okay. That's interesting. So just so that everybody knows, the reason I'm asking these questions is because normally if you're going to wholesale a deal, and that's not really the focus of our thing, but sometimes you end up in a situation where you're wholesaling a deal. If you're going to wholesale a deal, typically you need to give the buyer proof of your numbers, proof of ARV, proof of where the $35,000 to $40,000 came from, like as in form of a GC quote. Sometimes inspection, that's the one thing that's kind of iffy. The reason I was asking Kahisha these questions is because I know that she knows those things. So I'm like, okay, the fact that she hasn't sent anyone else, she's already talking about having buyers, it made me think she must already have more knowledge about them than someone would normally have about a buyer. And that's where these questions are coming from. But normally if you're going to wholesale a deal, you need to be able to give the person proof because they're not going to give you a wholesale fee when they don't even know that you're saying 35 to 40,000, but what if it's 80 and you don't have any contractor thing yet. So, okay. But you're basically handing the buyer GCs. Now, are you expecting them to pay the wholesale fee before they can send people out, or are you giving them the opportunity to go do some due diligence?
Yeah, they'll have the due diligence. Either I can send the earnest money in on the 11th, or it doesn't matter. I'm able to do that. So, but if they don't want to, that's fine too. But I'm okay with either way. But I am going to ask for them to, pay for it before the due diligence period is up.
Oh yeah, 100%. Yeah. And here's what it is as soon as someone says, I want it, that means they are committing. They're sending in the earnest money deposit, and they're paying you the wholesale fee, if you can get that.
Okay.
On the buyer side, I would tell someone, no, don't pay the wholesale fee right away. Try to pay it at closing. So just know, if any of you guys are ever looking to buy wholesale, I will literally coach you the opposite of what I'm coaching Kahish right now. Depends on which side of the transaction you're on. Okay. But from your standpoint, you want to try to get the money as quickly as you can. Right. I was like, all of a sudden, everybody moved on the screen and I lost. Okay, now I see you again. Yeah, because otherwise you should keep marketing it.
Right. I remember you saying that last week. To someone. So.
Exactly. Because until you have a commitment, you don't have it. But the fact that you don't have to pay the earnest money deposit for 10 days is great. So both of these buyers, like, yeah, I'm interested. Just send me the information and I'll do the due diligence myself.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Cool.
And I have a total of 14 days of inspection.
Yeah, that's great.
So.
Okay, that's good. All right. So you're not having to really do any due diligence at all?
No, I mean, I have, but
sure.
Not as far as actually paying to, the contractors and the inspectors.
And so is it going to be, are you going to be then coordinating between the realtor and their GCs? How is that going to happen?
So I already asked the realtor I'm dealing with, should I be dealing with her as far as the contractors or the listing agent? And so she said she can do it. She doesn't have a problem with going and showing them.
Okay.
And or doing a video. And I did ask her to, I would like to, because I know you do the Marco Polo.
Yeah.
So just in case one of two back out, at least I have that information also.
Exactly.
So she said she's fine with doing that. And she actually suggested that she would be able to do the videos with no problem.
Okay, great. Have her do the video, not on Marco Polo. Have her just have her do the video so that you actually have it like as an MP4, or have her, she can put it on YouTube or wherever, but go get it somewhere else in case you do need it later. Cause you can't, I don't think you can download it off Marco Polo. At least the last time I tried to download it, I was like, oh, you can't do that. Shoot. So, okay. Awesome. Well, keep us updated on how that's going. That's exciting.
Thank you.
That's good stuff. Okay. Very good, Keisha. Love it. All right. Let me see. Misty, are you still on here? Misty is off right now. Okay. Does anyone have any other questions before we get into goals for next week? Go for it, Keisha.
Real quick. I hope it's going to be quick. I have 2 other properties that I really, really, really want to submit offers on.
Okay.
And I've been looking at them for over a week. And my problem is I'm trying to get at least 5 comps, but I can't, the area is not there. Like one has 2, one has 3. I've been on Zillow. The area, because it's in Sanford, North Carolina, I can't get it up. They don't have Redfin there. Okay. One of them I did talk to Damon about, but I just can't get all the comps that I'm looking for.
Are they for wholesale also?
Yes.
Well, I mean, then go ahead and make the offer, and if you're going to wholesale it, you can just get everything that's sold within a half mile of the property in the last 6 months, maybe even 12 months, because we had COVID, and just provide that whole list. If you get it in a contract, provide that whole list to a buyer and just say, I personally think these 2 comps are the best, but here's everything that has sold, just to show them that other things are selling. It is tricky sometimes, because sometimes you don't have a lot of properties that have sold that meet the exact criteria.
Right. Because I know, I've even gone out and it's one 1.5 miles or 2 miles or 4 miles. And that's,
Yeah. So. Stick to a mile, but just get the realtor to give you everything that is sold.
Okay.
I mean, we wouldn't do this if I'm buying it for myself, but do a mile in 12 months.
Okay.
There's some property, something you're doing for yourself, I'd say a half mile, 6 months. But that way you're just giving the buyer like, hey, here's everything. And these are the ones I think are the most relevant. But here's everything. So that way they can make their own decision. But there's no reason not to do it. As long as you have an inspection period and you have all your outs. If you don't sell it, just back out.
Okay. I'm do it tomorrow.
Excellent. Why tomorrow? Oh yeah, it's 3 hours later there. Okay. Yeah. Well, especially if here's the thing, Keisha, if you've been looking at them for a week.
I have.
That's a while. So the sooner the better. It's really frustrating when you miss out on a deal by 12 hours.
I know.
Which is the difference between tonight or tomorrow morning.
Yeah. Okay.
So anyway, okay, yeah, get those in.
Thank you.
Yeah, okay. You're welcome. Good job. All right. Meredith, you have a question?
Yes, I do.
Go for it.
So I submitted my second offer today. Okay, well, my realtor called me a little bit after I submitted it. And remember how I had said it was another realtor that I had kind of talked to was the sellers, yeah. And so I guess he recognized my name or whatever, and he called her and he was like, I just don't think, I saw that she's the buyer. I don't think that this property fits her needs about what she's looking for from what she told me and all this. And I'm like, well, what did he say? Because I haven't really talked to him much. And who is he to say, like, I had a short conversation with him and told him what I was looking for, but I'm like, and so because he had sent me a heat map and the property is in a good area, it's like in a green area. So I thought it was a decent area, and I looked at like the ARVs and the comps and everything she had sent me, which maybe there's not a lot of comps is the problem. And so I calculated my ARV to be like 240. Well, he's telling her that he doesn't think even with repairs that I could sell it for more than like 170. So that's like way off from my,
yeah.
And she went over there, my realtor that I was representing me, she went over there and did like a street view and stuff, and it is more rundown than I thought it would be. And
the neighborhood?
So, yeah. Okay. And she said like a block over is really nice, but this particular street is not. And so it's the one with like the foundation issue possibly and the bird tag. And so like even with their asking price, I mean, I'd probably have to be like 50,000 less than their asking price.
Yeah.
Even for it to be worth it. So she called me and she's like, I'm not looking to just get a sale from you. She's like, I'm looking to build a relationship with you and for you to come back so I can help you with more properties, And she's like, she said she was going to narrow down the comps some more and send me more comps, I guess, for me to look at again. And she's like, if you want me to submit the offer, I will. If you don't, then she's like, I haven't sent it over yet because I want to make sure that we're making the right decision, basically. So now I'm like, should I just offer like the way low offer and see what they do? It's the one that's pinned it twice. So he says it. So the seller's agent is hesitant too because he's like, well, I don't want to get a third offer and then it not go through either. He's like, we don't want to go through that either. So now I'm just kind of confused on what to do because I have my numbers figured out and then that's like way off.
Okay. What is your exit strategy on the property?
Well, I was going to rehab and rent it, the BRRRR strategy.
Okay. So the fact that the neighborhood is not as nice isn't as, it would be a bigger concern if you said I was going to try to resell it. That's the only reason I'm asking. It still does impact ARV, or it could impact ARV, but when you're trying to actually sell something and it's truly based on the market and what people see around, it's an even bigger concern. If your numbers are based on an ARV of 240, how do the comps look? You said there's not a lot of comps.
No, and I haven't. She did send me an email a little bit ago, but I haven't had a chance to look at it. There wasn't what she had sent me, what she had available. There was not very many that were fully rehabbed. It was like, I mean, I felt like 240 was probably, if it's fully rehabbed, was what it would be about. But then like I said, he's saying that he doesn't think it could sell for more than 170. So not that I'm not selling it is the thing.
No, but it's still his comment of I don't think it can sell for more than 170 is definitely a red flag, because if that's true, that means that after rehab value, whatever it can sell for is technically the value.
Exactly.
I would take a closer look at the comps, because if that street overall isn't as nice as the one behind it and the sales are on the street behind it, you're kind of playing with fire. That's a very big difference. If you're talking about a difference of 10,000, I'd be like, well, okay, here's your risks, but you're talking about a difference of 70,000.
Yes.
It's a very big difference. So I would look deeper at the comps, but if you don't see a compelling argument for the ARV on that, I wouldn't proceed, or run the numbers at whatever number that you think you actually can prove with the comps. But the fact that he's like, I know this buyer, I don't think it meets your criteria. I'm not as concerned about that, but the fact that he gave a number that is so much lower, I would say proceed with high caution on that one.
Yeah. I mean,
Look
would
at
it
the comps and see.
Yeah. Like I guess, like, would it be worth like reevaluating the offer and doing a super low offer if that made the numbers work?
It can't hurt. You could say, look at the comps, and if you kind of agree with his 170, you could just say, to your realtor, tell him that that you ran the numbers at 170, and this is the most that she can offer based on her exit strategy. But at least it's a real offer based on the realistic information. But I think that was kind of a gift that he happened to have that conversation, because if the ARV is that far off, you would find out in due diligence anyway, but it's better to find out now and then not have to spend money on an appraisal to find out that you're like $70,000 off.
Yeah, definitely. Okay.
Yeah, but yes, there's nothing wrong with submitting it. And the thing is, your realtor might not submit a written offer. She might just say, hey, this is where Meredith is coming in. Is it worth us writing it up?
Okay.
Yes, if not, then you don't need to waste either of their time, but you could definitely rerun the numbers.
Okay. I'll just probably do that. And worst case, they can just say no. It's not a big deal.
Yeah, exactly. You're going to get a lot of no's in your journey. That's just par for the course. But the more you do of this, the faster and easier it becomes. The more you learn, the more you just start getting it. So,
well, because the other offer I submitted, because this is my second offer, the other offer I submitted, of course, she had reached out to the realtor to see if they had any other offers or whatever, and he never got back to her. So once we submitted the offer, then he got back to her and was like, oh, we already had an offer and it's pending. And so she's like, really? But so it's okay though.
Just keep at it. Like the more volume you get and the more offers you're making, the less any one deal will stand out to you as like, oh, really? Because you just be like, oh, wait, well, which one was that? I don't even remember, because I've written 4 other offers.
Because it took me forever for the first offer, because I I was like, what's the term you use? Like, I just kept
analysis paralysis.
Yes, that's all I kept doing. And I was like, oh my gosh, I don't even know. I was like, just put a number in. I'm like, I couldn't think anymore. I was like, okay, just put the offer in. Like, I had my numbers right, but it felt like I was like at a standstill.
That's sometimes you do. You just have to push yourself through it so that you start getting some momentum, and then you get some answers, and then you're like, okay, what do I got to do next? Feedback. What do I do next? Feedback. And then it creates momentum. You have to stay in momentum. Otherwise you will be stuck in your head. That's totally normal. Yeah. So good job for just keep pushing yourself to move forward. And eventually analysis paralysis was one of my biggest issues when I was new. Yeah. And now it's not at all. Like it doesn't even occur to me, but it was such a stumbling block when I was new. I would lose it on deals all the time because it took me so long to write an offer. I would analyze it for 8 hours.
That's
and now
what it is.
10 minutes. So
I know.
you'll just keep getting faster and faster. It's taking the repetitions and doing the practice is what will help you push through. So just keep doing it. And then you'll also be less attached to any one deal, because you're like, I made 5 offers today. I don't even know. Who are you again?
Okay.
You lose the emotional attachment. It makes it a lot easier, but just reps.
Okay.
A great job.
Thank you.
I'm proud of you. It's exciting.
Thank you.
All right. So here's what I want everyone to do. In the chat, I want you to tell me what your goals are for next week. Actually, sorry. First is, did you reach your own goal? Whatever your goals were for this past week, did you reach them? And second, what are your goals for this next week? What would you like to accomplish by next Tuesday? And I know some of you are brand new, so you know your goal might be watch videos, but everybody's at a different point. So based on where you're at in your business, what is your goal? What would you like to have accomplished by next Tuesday? What would you be really excited to be able to type, hey, I did this a week from now? So did you reach your goals, and what are your goals for next week? Tasha, yes, reached your goal. Right on. By next week, I'd like to have a decision on whether I'm moving forward or taking a step back on my deals. Okay, Natasha, I want to ask you about that. I don't know what happened to Misty. Oh, maybe she had to hang up in order to call the inspector. Okay, let's see. Bill, Open Umbrella LLC. Ooh. Right. Dina, analyze the hotel. Good. Crystal, analyze a property in one of our chosen markets. Kahisha, yes, goals met. Next week goals. Have a definite buyer for my wholesale. Yes, that's a good goal. Here it is. I met my goals. Good. And to put 3 more offers in next week. Great goal. Great goal. Cami, Leroy, goals for next week. More deals analyzed. Put out 1 to 2 offers. More realtors. Excellent. All right. While everybody, or if anybody is getting any more goals, Natasha, tell me how your deal's going. Now you have 2 deals. I didn't hear about the second deal. What's the second deal? I only saw it on the board. I was like, wait, Natasha doesn't have 2 deals. And Jen's like, she sure does. She reported it. And I was like, it must have been after the call. So what's your second deal?
So the second one is, I don't know if you remember the one that I told you about a couple of weeks ago where I was in touch with the owner and then she listed it on the market.
Yeah.
The woman.
Yeah.
So it's her. So she reached back out to me. Her buyer fell out. So I put it under contract, but on this one, it needs a lot of work. And I just don't know that I want to do all that work on it. It needs the foundation, the roof, all sorts of stuff. And it's in Bedford, Indiana. So it's like an area that I'm not super familiar with. So I'm just doing like research on the area, and I don't know if I want to put all this money into it, you know. So there's that one. Unless you want to give it to me for like $10,000 or something, which maybe.
What do you have it under contract for?
For $25,000.
Gotcha. How much work are you thinking it needs?
It needs about $80,000 worth of work.
And what is it worth after?
It's $125,000.
Okay,
but,
yeah, that's pretty tight.
Yeah, I just don't. I don't think.
Yeah, you're not really getting the reward of equity in that if it needs that much.
Yeah.
Is she okay? Is she open to taking a lower price, or she got a higher price than that, but then it fell through because it needs too much work?
It fell through. She said that the buyer couldn't get financing. That's what they told me. But I feel like it just needs too much. It's the roof, it's the foundation, the basement. It's like everything. It's like it needs a whole new house. I feel bad because she wants to move. She needs the money, but it's a business and it's too much. $78,000 bid is too much for me.
Oh, is that what you have, a $78,000 bid?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I don't know that I would spend any more of your time on that one, Natasha. It is what it is, and that is not, feeling bad is not anywhere in the course.
Right? True.
There's no video that I teach you about when you're feeling bad. Right. I mean, also that's when it's funny because when you're dealing with realtors, you don't have to deal with that at all. So I forget because it's been a long time since I've dealt directly with a homeowner, but it definitely can pull on your heartstrings. But this is a business.
Yeah.
it's nothing more than that. And you already know from the experience of rehabbing is not easy and it's frustrating, and you need to be compensated for it.
Right.
You need to make money for it. And there's just no, even at 10,000.
I mean, there's some things that could
10,000.
Maybe, or maybe 5, maybe, I don't know. There's some things that I could take out so that it's not so much, but I just don't know. Like the porch, for example, can just be fixed in a different way, but it might at some point settle too much. And then what's the point? Like to do all the work around that. And then I wanted to move the stairs because they're in an awkward position. It just looks funny. So I'm going to talk to the contractor about the moving the stairs part and see like how much I would save if I just left them, and if it would make any sense, and if I can get it to really lower the price, I might entertain it. But other than that, I think it's just.
Does she have a loan on it?
No, they own it. She owns it free and clear.
And is she living there right now?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, she is. Okay.
Yeah.
I mean, the thing is, like, and it's, so normally, the only reason I'm even bringing this up is just because there's a learning opportunity there. This isn't necessarily going to be very helpful because it needs so much rehab. But let's just say the situation was that it needed some rehab. Let's say it needed $30,000 in rehab, and they owned it free and clear. That would be a perfect opportunity to go back and say, look, I can't give you X amount for it, but because like all my financing costs. But if you're willing to carry the financing and let me pay you once I refinance it, then I can give you your price or whatever, something like that. So in a situation like that, when they don't owe anything on it, you could give them like a small down payment and ask them to carry the financing on it. But the purchase price is so low, your bigger thing to overcome is going to be the rehab.
Right.
So it doesn't really, the fact that they should carry financing doesn't really help you that much. So
yeah.
Okay. And how long do you have to make a decision on it? How long do you have it under contract for?
I have it until September 11th.
September 11th? Okay.
Mm-hmm.
All right. So you got a good amount of time. The other possibility would be, trying to get that. Can you get another contractor out there?
Also? Yeah, I have another one going out.
Gotcha. Okay.
Yeah.
And the other thing that you could consider, if it's not like super sexy for you, is to offer it up for wholesale. Like get the quotes and then, see if somebody else wants to do it who's local to the area. Also, that would be one you could throw on Craigslist, because if there's someone who does work themselves, like Steve's contractor, Bill, he buys fixer-uppers, and he could fix it up for a lot cheaper because it's his crew. Mm-hmm. So that might be a situation where you could, you still have it under contract, like go get some quotes, get pictures and stuff, but post it up on, Craigslist, or post it up with, hey, attention contractors, have you ever wanted to invest, and just try some other things and maybe make, still make a couple bucks on it, but the numbers might work for someone else.
Yeah. Great idea. I like that. So
yeah, because it just sounds like it's too skinny unless you can get the rehab way down, but those are big things. But a contractor, they could do sweat equity. It might work out for them.
True. Okay. So there's that one, and then there's the 6 units.
Yeah.
And okay, so the reason that I jumped on that one is because all of the site plans, like all the drawings were done, all the stuff that costs a lot of money was done. But what I'm uncovering in my due diligence is that I can't even start work on it for 3 months anyway. So I can't start work on it for 3 months because it just got approved by the city for them to build the condominiums. And so it's a building, right? And there's 8 units right now, but they're converting it into 6 condominiums.
Oh, okay.
Okay. So the inside of the building is a lot. It's gutted and all of that. But I'm finding out that I can't even start rehab on it for 3 months because of the plans just recently getting approved. And then they have to do this stuff with the city and the survey stuff, and then they have to draw the construction plans and all that stuff. So the holding costs are a lot, and I'm all excited because I want to go big, and I just really like the outcome of the idea of this money that's not in my pocket yet, this imaginary money. But it's imaginary money. So I'm just at this point, I'm freaked out, right? I was talking to Lupe about this yesterday. Like it's a lot of work, and I think I'm probably going to inch my way on out, because the only thing that makes sense to me is to separate it in 6 different parcels and maybe get with other people to do it as like each person has their own condo that they're working on, because it kind of made sense that way if people have cash. But if I'm going to try to do the whole project, the holding cost, it's just too much. The holding cost, the fact that I can't start for 3 months, and then it's another 6 to 8 months after that to do it. I don't know what the market's going to be like. I've already been through this before and I'm in it. So why am I doing this again? So, yeah.
Okay. It sounds like you're learning a lot. You've learned a lot, and everything that you're saying right now is very sound. And I wouldn't disagree or try to convince you that you should try to stay into that deal.
Okay.
It seems like there's a lot of risk. And I don't know that the reward outweighs it. And it should.
Well, I mean, I think for someone that has that, the risk to play with, I don't have that kind of risk. I shouldn't be risking like this. So someone else, I think it's an excellent deal because the area is up and coming. There's like rehabs going on around it, and just the where it's at and all the red line stuff and just everything that's happening. It's a great deal, but not for me. And I don't even want to take the time to wholesale it or do any work on it. I just would rather put it back on the market for someone who can pick it up and do it right.
Yeah. It's going to be challenging for them to, no matter what's going to be challenging for them to sell it, because anybody who's going to deal with it is going to deal with that same thing. Not being able to start for months. There's unknowns. It's 3 months now, but what if other plans don't get approved? That beginning time could easily get pushed out 9 months to a year just to start. Development projects like that, there's a lot of unknowns. There's a lot of risk involved in it. You could make a lot of money. You could also lose a lot of money. That's not a great position for you to be in.
Right.
It should be a little bit more predictable. We take risk, but it's very mitigated risk. And that, I feel like that wouldn't be a bad one for you to say, I did what I could. I gave it a shot, and it doesn't make sense. And focus on something where it's more predictable. You have, just a more streamlined deal. There's nothing wrong with the going big thing, but it's also great when you can get a win and you get your first duplex, you get your first fourplex, or your first regular property.
Yeah, that's kind of what I'm thinking about now, is just going after some duplexes or like a fourplex, maybe like a small, like maybe light to medium live value add with the burst strategy, and just keep it. That's my focus. I don't know why I just keep chasing this imaginary money. Like I'm going to flip. I don't want to do that anymore. So what am I thinking? I'm just,
It's all good. Yeah. Natasha, you found the opportunity and you explored it. That's what you do. Yeah. And you make contacts along the way. So there's nothing wrong with it. But you've evaluated to the point where you're like, I don't think it's the right deal. So good.
Yeah.
That's part of their journey. All right. Well, good job on that, and just keep us updated. But I think on your the other one with the lady, get another quote, start advertising it on Craig. Try to just see if you can make some money on it, but I wouldn't do that one yourself. But someone who is a contractor in the area, that's probably your best buyer for that one.
Yeah, that makes perfect sense. Yeah.
Cool.
Thanks.
Awesome. Good job. All right. Laurel, did go to a retreat this weekend. My goal for this week is to spend at least 15 minutes a day contacting and talking to realtors in Minneapolis and Denver secondary market. Awesome. All right. Very good. Okay. Do we have any questions? Actually, and Dina, you sent me a message privately, so hold on. So I can't read it out loud since it's a private message. Give me 1 second. I might have to close these blinds because it's starting to get obnoxious out there. Okay, so Dina, I don't see any reason for you to stay in practice mode. You're not buying them anyway. If you're just going to wholesale them, why would you, just go for it? Either go for it or spend the time, just watch more videos and get. But if there's no reason to practice or spend time on Zillow or Redfin. It doesn't do anything for you. But if you're gonna be active in investing, do it for real. If you don't have the time right now, it's okay to put it on hold and give yourself time to handle whatever other things need your attention, so that you don't have to feel like I'm getting pulled. I know it stresses me out to death when I'm like, I really need to do this, but I'm having to do this right now. Just give yourself the grace to say, I just can't do this right now. I need X amount of time off. focus, get that done, and then go back and do it. But if you're going to do it, like do it for real. There's no benefit. There is no practice. The practice comes from the doing of it. So, yeah, I can't do the LLC, but I can post to the group. Well, you don't need to do an LLC. You're talking about for wholesaling? You could just do Dina Price and or designated entity. You don't have to do an LLC. It's just an option to do it. When you write offers, just your name and or designated entity. That's it. And you don't need to do it. If you have it, cool. And if you don't, just do the other way. But I say either do it or don't do it, and don't stress that you're not doing it because you're specifically working on something else. That's okay. Okay, good. All right, does anyone have any more questions today? I feel like I want to take the opportunity to go through the Burr calculator. Crystal, I keep saying you Crystal because phonetically that's how your name looks to me. Crystal, sorry. Even though I know it, my brain's still like, oh, Crystal. Crystal, what were you, when you said you were unclear on the Burr, was it the strategy or was it the calculation?
I think I'm like struggling with what Misty is struggling with. Like, I think it's the way that I think. And then I'm like, well, what is this? I'm going back and going over the video again, but I think I'm a visual learner. And so I think sometimes when you, like, if you shared it in the group, it would make more sense to me. Like,
okay, I have an idea. And I did on the live I did today, I like just quickly made like some PowerPoint. It was really messy though, because I was like taking my camera and pointing it to my computer. So I'm going to pull that up. I'm going to put myself, I need a minute to go like get that loaded up. But so I'm going to put myself on mute and stop my video for a minute. If you guys want to visit between you can, and then let me pull that up and we'll actually talk through the case study that I showed earlier, and we'll talk through actual real numbers, and that might either clear it up for you or it might help to open up more questions that you can ask that I can answer that will help to clear it up. Does that sound good to everyone?
Yeah, and I think that's what I like. I need an actual deal that would make sense to me. Yeah.
Okay, yeah, you're visual. Okay, no problem. All right, give me a couple minutes, and if you guys want to unmute and chat amongst yourselves, you can. I'll be back. Give me like 2 minutes.
I have a question for the group. When you guys are looking for your deals, where are you guys mainly looking?
Like what cities or states?
Like, are you using Zillow? Are you using like, are you guys using all the platforms and just kind of going through them? Or do you have like one you specifically prefer?
I prefer Redfin personally, but I know they're not in every area that I'm trying to look in. So I know I have to go in Zillow, like for those specific little areas, but otherwise I really like Redfin. I think it's cleaner. I don't know. Maybe that's just my opinion.
I'll look. I've looked at it, but then I've been in Zillow, but I think I just need to broaden my horizon.
I like Redfin and I like realtor.com.
Okay, realtor.com. Okay. And I was just thinking, like, I'm getting nervous because I really got to do this now. Before I wasn't under pressure. Now I feel like I'm under pressure.
Totally understandable.
Crystal, real quick too, if you go in for anybody, I know I'm also looking at like for sale by owners, and then realtor, and then also Redfin. You can specify like your criteria. So like if you're looking for investor friendly, you can actually put in your keywords, and you can have those listings sent to you either instantly or daily or weekly or whatever. So that's how I get a lot of my listings also.
Okay.
And then also of course from some of the realtors that I'm associated with.
Okay.
All right. Sorry, for the life of me, I could not figure out, and I just created this today, but I couldn't figure out where I saved it. I found it. All right. You guys ready? Of course, I can't see it. I only can see a couple of you now, but that's okay. Oop.
I can see.
All right. Okay, so the case study I did earlier was on this property that I bought on Tuxedo 3 years ago, almost at its 3-year anniversary. And when I bought it looking like this. And I bought it from a guy who bought it in like a tax auction. I don't know how much he bought it for, but probably not very much. Anyway, he had listed it for like $35,000. I think I offered $27,000, and we ended up at $32,500. I got the contractors in there, renegotiated for a price reduction. We settled at $29,750. Okay, so that back and forth thing is a pretty normal thing. It was a hot mess. My plan was to put about $50,000 worth of work into it. So let's see. Okay. So what I was showing in the what I was showing during the case study was how I financed it. So I bought it for, let's call it $30,000, just under $30,000, and I used a hard money lender. The hard money lender that I was using would lend 80% of the purchase price and 100% of the rehab. All right, so if the purchase price is only $30,000, they're lending 80%. Like, what's my down payment? $6,000? Cool, right? So it wasn't really a big down payment, and they're funding all of the rehab. Now, this was the closing statement. I just wanted to show, during the case study, I was just kind of trying to show like what some of the costs are that you're incurring. I had a construction holdback to anchor loans for $60,000. My plan is to put $50,000 into it, but it was a new contractor and it was a new market. And I was like, let me just put $60,000 just in case there's something that, that comes up. It ended up being only $50,000, but that's why the construction holdback says $60,000, but the numbers I show you is going to be $50,000 because that's all we ended up having to put into it. All right, so we funded it with the hard money lender. The hard money lender charged 2 points and 10% interest, okay? So the loan amount, let's show you. You guys, can you see the $78,000 on the screen? I don't know if when I move my visuals, if it moves it for you guys too, but you can see that it says loan amount $78,000. And if not, you might need to just like minimize the little thing.
I can see it.
Okay.
See it. Mm-hmm.
Okay, good. So loan amount is $78,000. So when I paid 2 points and 10% interest, 2 points based on $78,000. So if you want to know like how to do, like take out your phone or your calculator right now. We're gonna do this old school. So put in your calculator $78,000 and multiply it by 0.02, which is 2%, which is 2 points. You should get $1,560, right? Which is what you see right here under origination charge. So origination and points are the same thing. It doesn't say 2 points here. I know it was 2 points because that's what they had quoted me on their good faith estimate, all right? Then they have other fees. So it's very normal for hard money lenders to have other fees. So they have an inspection fee, document fee, fund control fee, which is kind of like most hard money lenders have draw inspections. So every time you want to draw, you pay $200 for a draw inspection. This particular lender doesn't have that. They have something called fund control. So you pay in advance $400 and you get like 4 draws. Evaluation fee, which for them is like an appraisal. some prepaid interest, underwriting fee, processing fee. So all of these are just the different fees that this particular lender had. They were low on points, only 2 points, but they had a bunch of fees. It's usually one or the other. So when Misty was talking about that the one lender had 3 points, it could be that they have 3 points and really low fees. And then you can have another one who has 2 points but really high fees, and it ends up being, you know, very similar. That's why you have to ask the question about points and interest to see like how much is it really. So you're comparing apples to apples. And when you put that information in the calculator, it will tell you how much it is. All right, let me, oops. Oh, wow, this moves so fast. Move us again. All right, then you have down at the bottom, title charges. So those are the charges that the title company is charging for closing costs. All right, so that's what those are. All right, so when you add up all of these different amounts, oops. Oh, that was the after. So we had the before, we have the after. All right, and then these are some of the numbers that I was showing, which is what I'm hoping Crystal will make some sense. So the before, when I bought it for $29,750. I put $50,000 into it in rehab. My financing and closing costs, so all those, the $1,560, the $250, all of those, and the closing costs came out to be about $3,750. My holding costs, so holding costs are the costs that you pay during the time that you're rehabbing the property before it's performing. So for me, that was the loan amount was $78,000. Okay, so in order to figure out your holding costs, the interest part, you take $78,000. So take out your calculator. You're going to say $78,000 times 10% or 0.1. Okay, and then that would show you that that's $7,800 for the year. So if we're trying to figure out what is it for 1 month, we'll take that and divide it by 12. So that's $650 a month of interest. Okay, so part of my holding costs was interest. The other part that I was paying out every month was some utilities, which are actually pretty minimal, but so I just threw an extra $100 a month in there. Plus I actually probably had a little bit of insurance. So I just used $750 a month. So let's say it's $750 a month for my holding costs. I budgeted 3 months for the rehab of this property. The property actually only took 2 months. And then when we were done with the project, we rented it out and we had it rented within 2 weeks. Right. So my real actual holding costs were only 2.5 months, but let's just say it was 3. My total holding costs were then $2,250. Right. So then you basically add up you're all in. So I'm in for the purchase of $29,750. I'm in for the rehab of $50. I'm in for all the money I had to pay out of pocket to the closing company and the hard money lender, and I'm all in for the holding costs. Okay, so that's all the money that goes into my basis, right? And also, like when I go to do a tax return on this is the number that the CPA is using to calculate depreciation. Okay, this is your basis. It's your all in. It's all your capitalized costs. Okay, so that's first part of it. Go ahead.
The holding cost is what you're paying during the rehab, right?
Correct.
Okay, got it.
Yeah, and not that this is a tax lesson, but just so that you know, that becomes anything that you're spending on a property during the time where you're preparing it to be performing, you add up all those costs and it just adds up to the basis of the property. And then the day it becomes performing, you stop doing that, and any money you're paying out of pocket is an expense. But all that money, so we were in $85,750. That's like our tax base, our all in. Also, when I go to sell the property at some point in the future, that's when the gain is calculated. It will be calculated based on that amount because that's how much I've put into the property.
Okay.
Now, if I, later if I end up having like a capital repair, like a roof or a sewer or a fence or anything like that, that would increase the tax basis on the property. Okay, but anyway, that's a little bit more into it, but just to connect those two together. So
no, I do, and I understand that.
Okay, good. Yeah, because everyone has a different, they attach to different things. So, okay, so we're all in $85,750. When I was done with the property, the after rehab value or the appraised value of this newly renovated property was 132,000. Okay, so I bought it for 30,000. I put 50 into it. I had my costs, and now I took this ugly dog of a property and made it something that was worth much more because it was a newly renovated property. It was very desirable, right? So now, based on comparable sales in the area, and we got an appraisal, the new value is 132,000. Okay, so the BRRRR strategy is we're buying it, renovating it, renting it, and then we're going to refinance it. So we're going to refinance it based on the new value. Okay, so the refinance will be based on a value of 132,000. So if I go to my bank and I say, okay, I have this property, it's a rental property, I want to refinance it to pay off my hard money lender that lent me the money to buy it and renovate it, because regular banks won't loan on it when it looks like this. They're like, oh, no, thank you. Hard money lenders do, right? They'll lend on it like this. So that's why you could use a conventional bank if you fit the conventional lender, borrowing stereotype that they like. I don't, but a lot of people do. Then they'll lend on this. So they're looking at the ARV 132,000. And let's say they say, well, we'll give you 70%. We'll give you a loan for 70% of the value because we want to see that you still have 30% equity in it. We don't want to lend too much because that's risky for them. Like, what if you had to sell it really fast? They don't want you to be in a position where you can't pay them, you can't cover the loan. So they will tend to cap it at 70 to 75%. All right. So 70% of the value of 132 is 92,400. So that means when I refinance the property, I have a new loan. So the new bank is going to cut a check to the title company for 92,400, right? So that 92,400 comes to the title company, they're holding it. They're going to pay off the hard money lender's $78,000 loan that they originally made me, right? They're paying back the hard money lender's $78,000. And then there's some closing costs, or probably some lender costs. They're maybe paying for impounds would be normal. So the new lender might hold back like 3 months of insurance, 3 months of property taxes. That would be a normal thing, right? And then then there's going to be money left over. The title company is going to send it to you, right? So this is called a cash out refi. Now, it's not like all of that. The difference between the 92,000 and the 78 isn't necessarily profit to me because I put down the original 6,000 as my down payment, plus I put the 3,750 and the 2,250. I put all that out of pocket. So that was maybe $12,000. So out of that 92,400, 12,000 of that was money that I had put into the property. Okay. So this is my new loan. Now I've recouped everything that I put into it. Actually, these numbers aren't working out exactly because I only actually put 50 into it, not 60. So when we paid back the loan, I should have picked a simpler one, but when we paid back the loan of 78,000, we only had to pay 68,000 because I never used the other 10,000. Okay, because I'm like, wait, I actually got cash back on this one. All right, so we really paid back 68,000. So there's all this money so that I could pay back the 12,000 to ourselves, and we ended up, after paying all the different costs, we ended up getting about $4,000 extra. That wasn't my goal. My goal wasn't to actually pull extra money out. It's just the way that the numbers worked. And it didn't make sense to go down 65%. We're just trying to use as much of capital as we could to keep things rolling. So that's the goal of the refi. So it might be, depending what your numbers are, that when you refinance, maybe you couldn't recoup all of your capital. Maybe you ended up leaving 3,000 or 10,000 or whatever in the property. That's not unusual. And sometimes you would do that on purpose because you get a better loan because it was a lower loan to value, right? In this particular case, our spread was just so big, we were able at only 70% to pull out all of it. Everything we put into it and plus a little bit more, which we did end up putting in a fence later, using part of that. So if I have a loan in place after the refinance of 92,400, but the property is worth 132, that means I have equity in the property now of almost $40,000. Okay, that's part of why you would do the BRRRR, is because you have this great opportunity to pretty quickly bump your equity position up. you know, and I'm not living on that. I'm not cashing it in. It doesn't really do anything but sit on my balance sheet. But when you keep doing that over and over and over, you start looking more and more attractive on paper. You have all these properties and you have all this equity. It makes you look more attractive on paper. And then eventually, if you ever sell your portfolio or you sell the properties, you know, then you would cash in the equity at that point. You know, or if the properties go up in value, you could refinance later, maybe pull more cash out to go do more deals. All right. So it had $39,600 of equity after the refinance. It's a duplex, so each side rented for $750 a month. So there was $1,500 a month coming in. Property taxes, insurance, property management, and maintenance. Taking out all of that and the mortgage payment every month based on the new loan, which was at 6%, the cash flow is $550 a month. So that's what some of like the real numbers of this particular deal were. So at this point, I don't have any money into it because all the money I put into it, I got reimbursed when I did my refinance. So in this case, I actually own the property without having any money into it. All it took was my brains and my effort to make it happen and to be the one to make, you know, pull all this together. Every month I have $1,500 a month coming in and I have $950 that goes out. So I have $550 left over. So basically part of what goes out of that $950 is the mortgage payment. Those tenants are paying $1,500, that $1,500 is paying the mortgage. So the tenants are basically buying the house for me. And I get another $550 a month in cash flow. That's the gist of the BRRRR of using a real property. And we could run it, you know, every different way with different things, but does that make sense?
It does. It does make sense. I think it's when I'm plugging the numbers into the calculator to analyze it.
Okay, so let me do this section real quick. All right, I'm going to say talk amongst yourself. I'm going to go in the background and I'll go into Kajabi and I'll pull it up and we'll run these numbers through. And then and
I think that'll make sense.
Okay, good.
Do that.
All right. Oh, good. Misty, you're here. I was going to say, you got to come back and watch the recording. Okay. All right. Hold on 1 second. Again, talk amongst yourself. I'll be back.
Yeah, we lost power. There's a bad storm right now.
Oh, okay. I was like, maybe she's calling her inspector. Okay. Hold on 1 second.
Do that.
Okay, good. I'll be right back. Sorry guys, my internet is going really slow and it's in Google Sheets, so bear with me. It was giving me some technical difficulties. Okay, here we go. Oh, I better not make the changes on this one, otherwise it'll change it on all you guys. One in Kajabi, so let me make a copy. Put it. Okay. Select. Okay. Okay, so using the example of that deal, ARV was 132,000, right? So 132. Asking price, we're just going to put the offer price in. Put the purchase price in, $29,750. The rehab estimate was $50,000. Annual property taxes, I don't actually know off the top of my head. We'll say 1,000. Rehab loan assumptions. So this was the case. It was 80% of the purchase price, 100% of the rehab. So it says rehab loan, hard money loan is what we're talking about. Max loan percentage of ARV. It doesn't really impact anything here, but 70% is fine. The points were 2 points. Okay. Fees were, what did I calculate? Let me look at that PowerPoint real quick.
Okay, so while we're at the ARV, when we're doing the BRRRR calculator and you're analyzing a deal, how are you coming up with that after rehab value?
Looking at comps.
Okay, so you're using the numbers from the comps. Got it.
Yeah, exactly. Okay. Fees. Let's see, I think that was 2,500. Interest rate was 10%. Okay, so we're putting in, these are the assumptions. These might not be exact, but they'll be ballpark close. Okay, closing and holding cost assumptions, number of months held, 3. Okay, right, so that's what I did. Purchase closing costs, 1.5%. I don't remember what it was as a percentage, but it's probably ballpark close. Insurance, 100, and let's say, actually insurance wasn't even that much. I think it was more like $65. And let's say the utilities were 85. All right. Okay. All right, I'm not going to go through the rehab because we're just putting 50,000 in, right? So, but normally you would calculate the rehab if you need to. All right, so inputs on the refinance and rent. Okay, so the desired loan to value, 70%. Sorry, my phone is going crazy. Can I ask you to just text her and tell her I'm on a call? My mom. I'm like, don't you know I have a mastermind right now, woman? Okay, anyway. All right, so we have the desired loan to value, 70%, which is what we refinanced it at. The refi points, let's say that was one point. Other fees, 1,500, sure. Refinance closing costs, 1%. I don't remember exactly what it was, but it's going to be ballpark close. All right, cash flow projections. So it was 2 units. They were $750 per month. So I'm going to put in $750, $750. Monthly expenses, insurance, $75. Property management in this particular case was only 6%. And maintenance, I projected $100 a month. And 6% is a debt service. Okay. This was a little while ago. Now rates are obviously much better, but that's what it was then. All right, now we're going to the calculator. All right, so my offer price was $29,750. All right, so my rehab was $50,000. My total, $79,500. All right, so the loan that I was receiving from the hard money lender, the percentage of purchase was $23,800. This isn't going to work again. It's not going to work exactly because 50,000 versus 60,000. So sorry for that part of the confusion, but so the loan amount is 73,800. It was actually 78. But, projected loan amount, closing funds, closing costs. So these are all the different closing and holding costs. So it's just my all-in costs were 81,517. All right, and then I had mortgage and utilities during rehab of 2,100. So remember when I showed you it was about 85,000 or so all in. You take the 81,500 plus the 2,000, that's 83,600. So it's within a couple thousand. All right, so that's that part right here. Then you come over to the refinance post rehab.
Hey Stacy, will you look back down there? What is the cost to close? That I don't understand that. The approximate funds needed to close.
Okay, so there's a couple different things you're looking at when you're doing this. So you want to know before you're going in how much money you need to have prepared for the closing. So in this particular case, this first $59,550 was taking the total amount that I would need for the purchase and the rehab, the $29,750 plus 50,000 of rehab minus the amount of the projected loan. Okay, so if the loan is going to be 73,800, I would need about 6,000, which is basically the 20% of the purchase price. Okay, so that's 6,000. Closing costs were $1,200, $1,196, which comes from C18, which came from C9, which is the total purchase and rehab, times the 1.5% of purchase closing costs. All right, so closing costs you're paying at the time that you're buying the property. So you got to come out of pocket with that. So that's part of the calculation for how much money you need to be prepared for at closing. Property taxes during rehab. So I'm expecting that if the property taxes were $1,000 a year and I'm going to rehab for 3 months, property taxes during the time would be about $250, right? About a quarter of it. Insurance during rehab, same thing. We take the year of insurance, divide it by 12 months, multiply it by the number of months you're rehabbing, and that was $195. All right, hard money lender points for the rehab loan. Again, because I ended up taking a loan for $60,000 of rehab, didn't need it, I ended up paying a little bit more than this, but this would be what the projected would have been, $1,476. Hard money lender points, that would be the 2 points, so 2% of the loan amount of $73,800 is right here, $1,476. And then you have the hard money lender fees, which was a hard input, right? I just said $2,500 of fees, so it came right over. Because the points, the fees, all of that is stuff you have to pay up front on the day of closing. And then hard money lender interest during the rehab loan. So I knew it was 10% annually of interest, but I'm only holding it for 3 months. So that was projected at 308. I'm sorry, that wasn't, it's a half a month's interest. Because down here, I have the mortgage, the 3 months worth down here. Mortgage and utilities during rehab. So this 13,000 is all of the money that I'm expecting to be out of pocket during the deal. The down payment, the closing costs, the points, the interest, all of it. That's my estimate. I didn't end up putting that much because actually my closing costs weren't that high. These closing costs were higher than what my actual costs were. Misty, did that answer? And first of all, Misty, was that you who asked the question? I couldn't.
It was, yeah, okay. Thank you. Because
okay.
Yeah.
Does that make sense? Because you want to be able to go into a deal going, okay, how much money am I going to need? 14,000. Okay, yeah, I can cover that. Or shoot, 14,000. That's going to be a little bit tight. I better bring in some private money or a partner. It just shows you what you need to be prepared with so that you know whether you can handle the deal on your own or whether you need to bring someone else in to help with the deal and split the profit.
Okay.
Does that make sense? Okay, I'm going to check, before I go into the next one, I'm going to check the chat real quick, which is a little bit tricky to do. Oh, okay, never mind. That was from you guys talking earlier. Okay. All right, now let's grab, okay. So now we're talking about the post-finance, the rehab, the refinance post-rehab. Okay, so the ARV is 132,000. That came from the initial inputs page right here. All right, then we have the projected loan amount of 92,400, which is 70% of this number here. And that was based on the inputs we had here. Okay, so that's our new loan amount. To refinance, if it was 1 point, that's 1%. So 1% of 92,400 is $924. Other fees, we had to put that as a hard input. We said the new lender is going to charge about $1,500 of other fees. And then we had refinance closing costs. So when you guys refinance a property, you have to go through another closing. There's a title company, they do a title search, update, closing documents and everything. So there's fees involved in it. So that's what that represents. And I did 1% of the projected amount. So my new loan is 92,400 minus paying off the initial loan of 73,800. This is all through the projections. Obviously, my numbers are a little bit different. So I'm paying, and then if I'm going to reimburse myself for the down payment that I put into it, right? I put $59.50 into it as a down payment right here. So I'm saying, okay, well, if I reimburse myself for that, and I also reimburse myself for all the money I put out, which would be all of this here, plus the mortgage, I'm going to reimburse myself for $7,700. And if I'm going to reimburse myself for the refinance costs, which are the $924 here, the $1,500 of fees and the refinance costs, that was another $3,300. My new loan is able to pay back all of that, and then there's still money left over, which means that's how much I would actually cash out. Most of the deals don't work out where you get to cash completely out. So usually this would be negative to some amount, which just means you're getting reimbursed for everything except whatever's left here. So that's basically your cash invested in the property. Does that make sense so far?
So you usually don't get cash back. Is that what you're saying?
It depends. Like the deal has to be, you have to have enough spread. Like you have to offer low enough, which I did in this case. Like the ARV was high enough and my all-in was low enough to do it. Let me show you an example of what it would look like if I had actually done the full 60,000 of rehab, because it'll shift things. Let's go back to the inputs. Let's say that the rehab was 60,000. Okay. So if the rehab was 60,000, I have my offer price, my rehab, I have all these numbers here. The ARV, that didn't change. The new loan amount didn't change. So here's my new loan, $92,400. My loan with the hard money lender is higher. The reimbursement of a down payment is the same. The reimbursement of my closing costs is different because the points are based on a higher loan amount. So in this case, what it would say is I have $9,000. So I got a new loan for $92,400. After I paid back the hard money lender and all my other fees, I would leave $9,000 that I would have put out of pocket already. I would be leaving that in the property. Okay, so if that was the case, which it's not that one is right or wrong, it's just is what it is. Okay, then I come over here and I say, okay, here's my cash flow projection. Because what I want to assess is, how do I feel about leaving that $9,000 in the property? Is that a good deal for me? What kind of return am I getting? Okay, so this is how you figure that out. So you have your rental income of $18,000, right? Which was $1,500 a month times 12. You have your different expenses of the property. So you have your net operating income. Debt service is the 12 months of payments I'm making to the new bank. So my cash flow is $71.72. All right, and so let's say the monthly cash flow is $598. There's some assumption in here that isn't quite lining up with what our property really is, because our actual cash flow is like $550 on this property. So something in here is lower than what I'm actually paying, but the projection is the monthly cash flow is like $598. My cash on cash return. So if I'm making $598 a month, that's $600 a month, times 12 is $7,200, right? I think 600 times 12. All right, so that means, oh yeah, that's right, because we already have that, $71.72. If I'm putting out $9,000 one time, and every year I get $7,200 back, that is an 80% cash on cash return. That is an exceptionally high return on investment. And that's why people do the BRRRR strategy. Because otherwise, if I'm buying a property for just $132,000 and I'm going to put 25% down, let me just see what that would be. I'm going to put $132,000 times 25% down right now. That means $33,000. I put into it plus the cost of refinancing. Let's just call it cost of financing $2,000. All right, so let's just say that our out of pocket is $35,000, right? So let's say this is straight purchase. I'm putting in $35,000 into the property, right? If I put out $35,000 today, and every year I get $7,200 back, 7,200 divided by 35,000, that means my cash on cash return is 20%. That's still really good. This would still be a great deal. But I'm tying up 35,000 instead of 9, which means depending on how much capital you have, you might not be able to do as much as you would if you didn't have to leave so much in the property. Does that make sense? The BRRRR conceptually is not super difficult, but like when you actually get into the nitty gritty of the calculations, it took a long time for me to create this calculator, because it's like, there's a lot of different moving parts. So if this seems like, wow, this is confusing, that's okay. it is. It's just, but if you break down each section and understand each piece of it, then you're on the right track. Does that make sense, Misty? I mean, it doesn't make sense as much as it can make sense.
Well, it makes sense whenever you're doing it, and whenever I'm like hearing you walk through the steps. Whenever I get it, I almost understand it, but then there's something that just does not click.
Do you want to? Do you have yours on your screen? You want to share it? We can go through.
Maybe if I can find it. Well, I don't know how to get back to it. There it is. Yeah, so whenever the power went out, I guess that it closed everything, so I would have to go find it again. Yeah, I would have to go back through and find everything again, because whenever the power went out, it did everything.
Open up Messenger, click on the link.
Yeah.
This is your opportunity.
Okay. All right, I found that. Okay, so it's a screenshot. How do I share it?
Okay, so go down to the bottom of your screen. You should see a green button that says share screen.
Go down to the bottom of the screen. I don't see anything like that.
If you hover, sometimes you have to move your mouse and kind of hover towards the bottom. It might say chat. It's usually right next to chat.
So in the chat screen.
It's not in the chat box, but if you're hovering at the bottom, you see like different icons at the bottom. Actually, I don't know if it's next to chat on yours. It is on mine. There should be.
Okay, share screen.
Yeah, there you go.
That one.
And then you click on which
share
screen.
That one. Okay. All right. So this one. I don't know.
Okay, so let me walk you through.
Okay.
What this is. Okay, I know that you're talking about partnering,
right,
on this one. So, but I'm gonna, for the purpose of simplifying it, I'm gonna talk through as if it's just you're just doing it.
Sure.
Okay. All right. So, if the offer price is $150,000 and the rehab is 15, your total all in. So for everyone's sake, I'm starting at the left side of the screen and just walking through it. Oh, great. So the total is $165,000. All right. It looks like I gave my phone away. Okay. I don't know what 127,500 is of 150. Looks like it's. And Bill, if you're the one who ran the numbers on this, if you want to tell us what is it 85? Is it an 85-100 loan? I don't know if Bill's still on here. Oh yeah, there you go.
Yeah.
Yeah,
okay,
it was.
Yeah, so
okay.
I ran my numbers, my calculator off the hard money lender I've been working with on my line of credit, and he's offering loan to value of ARV and 15% down of purchase price and 100% rehab.
Okay, and that's pretty common for hard money lenders. It's a little bit better than some hard money lenders for new people, so that's actually pretty good. Okay, so that makes sense. So the total loan amount would be $142,000. All right, so Misty, where you see projected loan amount, it says $142,500, and then but the total that you need for the deal for just the purchase and the rehab is $165,000. That means your projected or your down payment needs to be $22,500, which is also 15% of $150,000.
Okay.
So that's one part of it. So you need $22,500 for the down payment for the hard money lender. the closing costs, property taxes, insurance, utilities are all based on the inputs from the first inputs, initial purchase and rehab. And then your hard money lender points. Bill, how many points?
So he quoted me just 1 point. He said he usually charges 2, but he says he wants to keep me around. So I'm just going off verbal.
Okay.
He said
Yeah,
1, so.
Yeah, okay. So 1 point, and then you got 1,500 of fees. And then how long did you project the rehab to be? Because it seems high.
So I'm kind of going off of some of her numbers that she sent me, and I haven't gotten a lot of the information because she's still getting the contractors to get in there.
Sure.
So some of those things are just default.
Okay.
I don't think that it'll take more than a month to get everything done, and that's just lining up contractors to get in there because it's not much to do.
I think that in this particular case, I don't know 4275 how many months that is. That seems higher than it probably will be. I would probably project 3 months. It might not take that long, but I usually will project 3 months at a minimum just to give you the space for it. So that'll cut down some of your costs. But
and some of the things when I was on my phone when I was changing. Well, excuse me, I'm sorry. When I sent her this screenshot, I was on my laptop. When I started getting different numbers in, I was on my phone. And for some reason, I couldn't update on my phone. It was just when I would try to highlight that cell, it would just show me like the formula and I couldn't change anything.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, it was really weird when I was on my phone. So I didn't.
Okay.
Some of those numbers are probably they're not true, but on my computer, that's where I was at.
Gotcha. Okay. So the one thing that I see on this one that will probably shift is the interest. Bill, what was the interest rate that he quoted you?
I talked to him today, and he needs some information from me, and I haven't been able to open that email and get in touch with Misty to talk about it because I've been on the Zoom call with you
gotcha.
guys.
Okay.
So
do you know what number you put in there? I'm just trying to figure out the basis.
I use the default number on the calculator, 12. Yeah.
Okay. All right. I think it's the number of months must be higher than.
Yeah,
so,
it must be.
Okay. So we have.
I think the last time I read something, I might have had it at 6 months when I was looking at a different deal.
Okay, that makes sense. Yeah, it probably wouldn't take that long. So your all-in costs are probably realistically lower than what we're seeing. And also your mortgage and utilities during rehab is probably lower than what we're seeing. Okay. So those are the same thing, but okay. Misty, can you move it over to the right, or can you, or shrink it down? Maybe I just have to move my little screen away. Okay, so the ARV
is that moving it on your screen?
It is, yeah.
Okay.
Okay, so the ARV is 220. Bill, did you run this at 70%?
I ran it at 75.
75, okay. Okay, that's part of why the cash flow is a little bit lower. Although, okay, so but let's just say what this means. So if Bill ran it at 75%, which I don't know if you could do a cash out refi at 75% right now, but lending is changing all the time right now, so it's possible.
Yeah.
All right, so but just to explain, Misty, the calculator. If the new loan amount was $165,000, which is 75% of the 220, and if the refinance points were 3,300, which would be 2 points, and it probably will be less at this point, and your other fees, your refinance closing costs are probably going to be less. I think there's some padding in here. If your new loan is $165,000 and you're paying back the original loan of $142,000, and you're reimbursing for the down payment of $22,500 and reimbursing for all the other costs, which are higher than they probably are, at the end of the day, you would be short by $18,000. What that means is that $18,000 would be invested in the property. I don't think it's actually going to be that much. I think it's going to be less than that. And I also think because your refinance points and your refinance closing costs are both probably lower than that. You probably have only 3 months instead of 6 months of rehab. So you have, that number is probably nowhere near that high. But let's just say it is $18,000. That means that you will have, to have a property worth $220,000, you'll have $18,000 into it. Okay, so let's just say that. on the cash flow projection side, can everybody see the cash flow projection on the right? Okay, thank you. All right, so the rental income is 19,200. Bill, is that based on 1,750 times 12?
That is based on 1,600 times 12.
It's based on 1,600. That's what, yeah.
Okay, so you know that there's, so let's just say it's 1,600, but you know, if it's 1,750, these numbers get a lot better looking. But even at this, even at 1,600, you pay property tax. Wow, property taxes are $5,000.
They are stupid high here, yeah.
That's what I said.
Okay, that's part of why I was like, why is this number so high? Okay, ouch. Okay, so property taxes 5,000, insurance 900, property management at 10%, and then maintenance and vacancy. Okay, total expenses minus your debt service. Okay, so the cash flow, if it was 1,600 a month, is showing at 250 a month. So already, so you know, if at 1,600 a month, it's 250. If it's 1,750, it's really 400 a month cash flow, not 250. Okay, so that's one. But let's just say it is 250 a month. The debt service coverage ratio 1.44. That's great. Lenders will love that. What it means is the cash on cash return would be 16%, which for the BRRRR strategy, you could do better. But what that is doing, it's saying if you're going to make 250 a month over the course of the year, which is 3,000 for the year, and it took you $18,000 of an investment to make that $3,000, that means you're getting a 16% return on your money. And as far as compared to any other market thing, that's a great return. Usually you'll do better with the BRRRR because the ratio is different. But I think this number is lower than it shows, and I think this number is higher than it shows. So I bet the cash on cash return, and you adjust those, is going to be probably in the 30s. I don't know for sure, but if you guys make a few adjustments, you're going to see these numbers are going to be a lot higher. So Misty, I really want you to just kind of understand the relationships there. Does that make sense? Like the way that the numbers flow and what you're looking at and comparing to?
With you walking through it, yeah, absolutely it does. Whenever I'm on my own, hopefully it will. I mean, I understand it a lot better now.
I keep in mind,
I was thinking that 18,000 was, you know, I don't know, that 18,000 right there was freaking me out for some reason. I don't remember what it was that I thought that it was.
Yeah, well, it's probably smaller than that. And in this particular case, if you were doing the deal by yourself, then you would just say, okay, well, when I'm done, I'm going to have this $220,000 property that I was able to leverage for $18,000. How much stock can you buy for $18,000 in the stock market? You can buy $18,000 worth of stock. Okay. But for whatever reason, in real estate, for $18,000, I can buy a $220,000 property that pays me out $250 a month after I've paid for everything. So that's something to keep in mind, is you're leveraging.
Right. And my question is, so if we're going in this together, I don't understand how we both would make money.
Well, it depends on what you're setting up as far as a partnership is. If one person's putting in all the capital and the other person's doing all the work and you're doing like a 50-50 split, then you would both have ownership. Couple things going on. One, I want you to notice the difference between the ARV and the loan amount is the equity in the property. Okay, so for one, there's going to be 35. The
difference between the 220 and the 165?
Mm-hmm. That's the amount of equity left in the property. Now, of course, this amount, whatever's in the property from the money partner, you would subtract from that. So let's say there's 55,000 here minus, let's call it 20 to make it easy, minus the 20 that is the investment from the partner. That means there's $35,000 of equity, like legit equity for two people to have a part of. Okay. The benefit from your side, if you're coming in with no money and you're partnering with somebody who's bringing in the capital, you're basically getting ownership of a property that you have equity in. They have cash flow, and not a ton of it, but you have cash flow every month. You get depreciation expense. So you get a benefit on your tax return, and you get appreciation as the property goes up in value over time. And you have the tenants basically buying the house for you. So when you're getting started, the numbers, if you don't have your own capital, the numbers aren't going to be super sexy. But when you start getting experience and you start doing it, you're going to start getting better and better deals. You'll start having enough capital on your own to then do it without a partner, or you can go get private, or you can go get a private money loan. As you're further into the business, the opportunities just start coming a lot faster and easier, but you have to get started sometimes. And so sometimes if you don't have your own capital to start, you're partnering up with someone. Doesn't mean the deal is going to be like super sexy to you. Maybe not, but you now own a property that is a cash flow property that's gaining equity every year as the value of the property goes up, that your tenants are buying for you, and you didn't put any money out of pocket to get it.
Okay.
The other person on the money partner side is you have a property that you have equity in, that cash flows, that they're getting a great return on investment on, and they didn't have to do any of the work. So it's both people benefit in different ways. But like once you actually rerun these numbers with more realistic things, you'll be able to get a better idea of what this actually looks like. But you know, if it was cash flowing $400 a month, you know, after you pay all expenses every month, you have $200 coming in without having been out of pocket at all, and you have, you know, a portion of whatever the equity is in there. That's why you would do it. And now when you go to do your next property and you're talking to the realtor, you can talk about the experience you already have. And when you go get a loan in the future, you're able to say, here's the deals I've done. And now you get more money. Now you get 90% of the purchase price instead of just 85. You know, and you get to the point where you can do deals on your own. That's why you would do it. It's when I was new, I didn't have my own funds. So I had to partner or get private money for everything. And the first ones I was like, it's okay. But boy, I really recognized the benefit of it when I had a handful under my belt and the lenders were like, wow, you have a lot of experience. Cool, we're gonna give you this lower rate. We're gonna give you more money because you have experience. But in the beginning, yeah, I had to take deals where I got 50%. I'm like, well, 50% of something's better than 100% of nothing.
Yeah.
But I struggled at first because I was like, man, is it really worth it? The bigger picture, it absolutely is. You have to recognize, like, what are you bringing to the table? What are you getting in return? And does it make sense for you?
So right here with the 35,000, say this was absolutely correct and we decided to do the deal. So do you then go to someone else and get another loan for the 35,000 if you don't have all of that?
If you were partnering, oh, you mean like if you and Bill were going to partner on the deal, right, and Bill didn't have the 35,000, then
he has the credit score that I need, and I don't have quite that much money.
Oh, I see. Okay. Well, then yeah, you'd have to come up with it somehow. Now, keep in mind, some of the funds that you're expending can be paid on a credit card. Like your property taxes aren't paid out every month. Like you could just wait on that until you refinance and it can go out of the refinance. Some of the closing costs, like the home inspection, the appraisal, that can usually get paid on a credit card. So there's certain things that you can do that you can actually put on a card.
Okay.
You know, but if you don't have it, yes, you could borrow money from another person.
Okay. Okay.
But I think you need to, on this one, I think you need to tighten up the numbers. And the reality is, if you have to look at what everybody's bringing to the table. If in a normal, like a 50-50 partnership, you have one person who's not bringing any money, but they're doing everything. And then the other person is usually bringing the money and the credit score, but they don't have to do anything. And they come together and they do it 50-50. So, but if you're bringing the money and doing all the work and someone else is bringing just the credit score, then it's probably not going to be a 50-50 arrangement. You need to come up with like what makes sense. There should be a split that makes sense for the contribution being made. Oh, you just muted yourself.
Yeah, I wanted just to, I didn't understand how money was made out of it whenever everything was like in parentheses.
Yeah, so now this is the amount of money that you will have invested. Now this, like I said, I think this number is going to go down once you tighten up some of these numbers. But Misty, you should run the numbers through your calculator.
Yeah, definitely.
And then that way you could play with it. You both should, and that way you could play with them and be like, oh, okay. And then if you're going to get like different joint venture splits, like, okay, well, how much cash flow would I get? And how much would that be? How much of a return would that be? And is that worth it? And, you know, that kind of thing.
Oh yeah, for sure. I got some more numbers today, but we just haven't had a chance to talk.
Gotcha.
I have a quick question. After talking to my hard money lender, he brought up something that I knew nothing about, and I'm sure you know more about it than anybody. But he said something about since if I were to go into this deal, that when we go to apply for the loan, it would have to show that I am the majority partner because they need my credit score, and that's what the lender would have to say. So how would we be able to make it official to show that it's not a 50-50 split? Because that's not where we're at. It's obviously, I know what she has done and what she's brought, and I know it's not a 50-50 split. You know what I'm saying? Okay, but it needs to show for the lender that it's 51-49 because of my credit score.
All right, so I'm guessing you're dealing with a mortgage broker and not the actual lender.
He said he was it's Campos Capital, hard money lender. I mean, I'm just dealing with
okay. I think because you said he said the lender, which I thought he was the lender, so I think that's why I thought he was a broker. Okay.
I got you. I see what you're
saying. Okay. But he's a direct lender, not a mortgage broker.
So he says.
Okay.
Obviously, you know,
we'll just proceed on the assumption. Now sometimes you don't. Sometimes you just can't. You don't know. You can't tell. Okay. That's kind of a tricky one. So I can tell you how to get around it, but you have to recognize that you're operating in a, how should I word this? I just won't put any words to it. I'll tell you how to get around it. I'll just tell you all the pros and cons, right? Because a lot of what I've had to do as a real estate investor is get creative, right? And as a former auditor, I also always think through like paper trails on things. But I rarely, if ever, have ever had to like produce a paper trail. But I always think, if I'm ever asked, like, what would paper trail look like? So here's the reality. You could produce a document. You could decide today, you know, let's give Bill 51% of the LLC. You apply for the loan. And you could decide after the loan, I changed my mind. Bill's only going to have X percent of it. Obviously, you guys would have worked all that out. So that's the technical on how to get through. And I've done stuff like that all the time. Okay, it's like whatever I need to do to get through whatever the stupid hoops they want us to jump through, fine. I'm going to jump through a hoop, fine, I'll jump through the hoop. Here's where you have to, I don't want to say be careful, but just here's what you have to think through. This is more on Misty's side, because Misty, you're the real majority owner, right? So the thing you have to operate through is, if you create a document that says Bill has 51%, I have 49%, and then you move forward and all of a sudden the other new document doesn't end up coming about, and Misty only owned 49% of the company, even though the original intent was that. So it's almost like you got to think all the way through it. So let me see, if I was doing this right now, this is probably the way I would do it if you were going to do this. But Bill, in all fairness, especially knowing your thing, it is in the fringes of shady. And I know you don't love that place. I don't mean shady. It's not black and white. It's not clean cut, and it's not real. It's not true. You're not 51% owner. So if you really,
that's what my concern was to, how do we make it, like, can we type up like a legal document that says, yeah, you got the financing and all that, but when it comes time to, you know, sell or refinance out, like, I know what my percentage is, and we know what your percentage is.
Yeah, absolutely. You guys can.
And it's a legal binding, like, piece of paper.
Yeah. Yeah, it's a written agreement between the both of you, and you can even write it. And this would be only for you guys. You would not give this to anyone, but the agreement could say something like, for the purpose of financing, we have to produce a document to the thing that shows at this time, Bill is 51% owner. And we both agree for the purpose of getting the loan, Bill will have 51% of the company on this day. And when we get to X point in the deal, that Misty will have earned, that's the way you could actually do it legitimately. Well, coming into the deal is 51.49, but when we get to this part of the deal and XYZ happens, maybe the closing, Misty will have earned X much more percent, and now she will be X percentage owner of the company. And you do, it's just an addendum to your operating agreement, a quick little one pager. Jennifer, I've done it several times because we've had to do this multiple times. For the purpose of financing, we need one or both of us to have a little bit different percentage. You know, obviously, you know, for us, it doesn't really matter, but between you guys, even if you should do that because you want to have it in writing, but if you want it to be like clean cut, Bill, that is the right way to do it. It's to say, to write it up just between you guys, don't give it to anyone. For the purposes of financing, this is what we're agreeing to. And we agree that after the financing is done, Misty will have done X, Y, and Z, and now she will have X percentage of the company. And you can even prepare all those documents and have them all ready to go. So there's a certain element of trust, although if you both write up that agreement ahead of time and prepare all the documents, you don't even need an element of trust, because I'm not a fan of that. But obviously you don't want to do business with someone that you feel would screw you over either. So obviously I don't pull that vibe from either of you, so I don't have concern about teaching a way to go through it. But I would be, you know, if I'm, depending on who I'm dealing with, I would be more cautious if I didn't, I don't know. The thing is, I wouldn't do business with somebody that I didn't have a good vibe from anyway. But good vibe isn't one of the videos either. But that's what you could do.
You always have to cover your own butt, you know, no matter what happens.
Yes. And that's why having everything documented, also having conversation, like clear cut, this is what we're talking about. Okay, so let's put it in writing, and then let's both read it and make sure that what we wrote is what we said, what we meant. Because sometimes things get lost in, oh, I thought you meant this. No, I didn't mean that. Oh, okay, cool. Let's amend it. As long as there's a lot of like communication is key. And then you put in writing what your interpretation of what the communication was. Make sure you both agree and that you both feel good about it. And if so, then cool. Then you have your documentation. You're good to go. And then you would both sign it at that point. And that's, Bill, when it becomes a legal and binding document.
Okay.
Because it's signed by both parties. The intent is written down. When things are going to happen, when the ownership is going to change is written down. But I think that's the main thing, is just to document that, because for the purpose of the loan, it needs to show that, you know, Bill has 51% ownership. So at the time that this is formed, Bill will have, and then Misty will earn additional ownership, you know, by contributing funds at closing or things like that. Something that would make sense if someone ever looked at it. Nobody ever will because it's internal, but you just always think about, does that trail make sense to someone on the outside? Yeah, okay. And do we both feel, okay, did we document everything, you know, in a way that makes sense for all parties?
Correct. And I wouldn't have thought of any of that until he mentioned it when it came to the loan, because we've spoken yesterday, and in my mind, obviously everything, it's going to be written up, you know, black and white, you know, everybody knows everything's transparent. Everybody knows what's going on and who's doing what and blah, 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 blah. And then he threw that in there about the finance. And I was like, well, how, I mean, we got to be able to work around that somehow. There's got to be, I mean, this isn't the first time that this issue's ever come up. So there's obviously a way to get around that. Yeah.
And frankly, they don't actually care. Just so that you know. They don't actually care, but they need to be able to check a box that says, okay, So you need to provide it to them, but just always, as long as you guys are in communication and you agree and you have something written between you and both signed that everybody agrees, then
internally,
exactly.
Perfect.
Yeah, and even if he knew about it, or you would like, oh well, this is what we did. He'd be like, don't tell me, because they want to get the deal, and if you provide a file and they can't do it, he doesn't make any money either. So. But that is a way that you could do it that would be, you know, legally binding for the two of you. It'd be all written out, and you could get what you need from the lender.
Yeah.
So would I need to put him on the Trek contract since I'm still in my option period?
No, because how did you write the contract? Misty, Hardin, and or designated entity?
That's exactly what I said to her. I noticed whenever she sent it over to me, she only put my name. So
then
I
you should
need to
not
change
assign
that.
it. Yeah, that's what. So just so you know, for future, you don't sign the contract until they have it right.
Okay.
That's part of it.
Okay.
Because
so can
now,
I change it right now though?
Yep.
Okay.
Yeah, and you could just say, I sent it over to you and I didn't notice that you didn't include it. Just say, I just didn't notice you didn't include it. I need that because I'm going to have to put it in my LLC. You know.
Okay. Okay. All right. And so
Yeah,
do we
I
need
should
to form an LLC together?
Yeah.
We do. Okay. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Which is no big deal. It's just you create an LLC and it's creating it together. One of you can create it. The ownership in the operating agreement is what shows what the percentage of ownerships are, and that can change over time. Happens all the time with companies when owners change hands or somebody buys more into the company or someone, whatever. That's a very normal transaction.
Is there a recommendation as to who should do it?
In general, whoever's doing the project is usually the one who handles all that stuff.
Okay, so I would do, okay.
But it's not a typical situation where two people are in a coaching mastermind either. Usually one person's getting all the coaching, the other person's just I'm just happy to make some money, but you're both in it. So either of you could do it. It's more typical for the person who's doing the deal to do it. But yeah, either is workable. In a situation like that with a joint venture, it would probably be better for you to go the route of using an attorney. It's not required, but a joint venture agreement. But then again, you have a little bit less flexibility in some of the documentation. So
okay, since I talked to Corey earlier and he was talking about that. So would he be the one to handle that?
Yeah, if you're going to go through Anderson, yeah, that's who you talk to. You could just say that you need a joint venture LLC. And okay. I would even explain to Corey, tell him a little bit about the financing because he might be able to help you with the language on it.
Okay. Okay.
And then the cost of that LLC would be a cost of the deal.
Okay.
You could add it to closing costs. I mean, like I said, some of your numbers are padded anyway, so you kind of have room in there for that, but it would be a cost of the deal.
Okay. All right. Okay. Awesome. Thank you.
All right. No problem. It's stressful when you're going through stuff that's new. Just hang in there and ask questions as it comes up, and just one foot in front of the other. When all of this is said and done, it's going to be like, oh, wow, okay. All right. I know stuff now, but it's hard when you're going through it. Especially when you're not used to not knowing stuff.
Right? Yeah. For 17 years, I've been the one that people come to for this. So this is a whole new experience and I don't like this.
I know. That's how I feel about real estate. I'm like, ask me a question. I can answer anything. Right. You want me to do what on a YouTube ad? How in the hell? Where is that button? I don't get it. So I get it.
Yeah.
It's comfortable when you're the expert. Anytime you're going to do something new, you're growing and it's painful.
Yeah.
Such is life. If you want more out of life, you're going to be willing to engage the pain, and you are. But it won't be painful forever. It's just while you're learning and you're uncomfortable. Eventually, you'll know it. And you'll be able to tell someone else how you understand what they're going through.
Yeah. Yeah.
And people will be like, okay, thanks.
When I grow up, I want to be like you.
Oh my gosh. Well, I'm really excited for you guys. Keep rocking it out there. I look forward to seeing all of you guys next week, and just keep pushing forward, and I'll see you then. Have a great evening.
Bye.
Bye.